I need to show you this picture of Wario.
Do your thing, and I've got to send you guys a picture I saw the other day because I'm damn certain of who it is.
Yes.
Hold on, copy
And John lowers his chair in shame.
So I need to actually see my.
Look at Wario's
John,
golfing
your eyes
clothes.
are at level with the camera.
Oh,
Oh my god, I love it!
he suits
It's
them
like a
a
southern
weird
Texan
amount.
golfer.
Do you reckon this is what Trump looks like when he golfs?
Oh, most certainly. I just love the fact it's checker trousers.
I didn't know Wario got into the cattle business. That's what that is.
versus fiction.
Does he like Judas?
Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be the Zodiac Killer.
You've got the shovel. Go on, Trooper.
Child abandonment is a fun plot device.
Back away. I've got a circle of sin, and I'm not afraid to use it.
He's a drug dealer. Oh no, wait, no, it's worse. He's a theatre major.
It's not awful so far. Hello and welcome to this week's special Fact vs. Fiction. My name is Matt. I am taking the reins for this episode, but as always, I'm joined by my three acceptable colleagues. John.
Hello.
As well as Tom. Both Toms. Take your pick, Tom. Which Tom wants to Tom first?
I strive to be acceptable.
It's a good goal.
The minimum requirement.
It takes 2 Toms to tang Tom.
So I guess I'm the Tang Tom then?
Sure. You're a little sour. You could be a Tangvastic Tom.
How fucking dare you?
I feel like
I think you'll define my taste as bitter.
I mean, I didn't want to be so crude, sir.
I'll say it myself, so no offense is caused.
Well, as it's a special week, we don't have to do a hypothetical, so we can just dive straight in. Which
Love to dive straight in.
I can do.
Which is why I'm banned from the
Faces
Lido.
of relieved men who hadn't prepared anything for that.
So you're banned from where? You're banned from where, Tom?
The Lido.
It was better than the joke I was going to make, which is me getting up and you just hearing me jump off somewhere in the background.
That's all well and good until it's a cliff.
Well, you see, the only available ledge is my window. So...
Pledge.
Yeah.
Stuck between a cliff and a ledge.
Behold my pledge. That sounds so bad.
Between a pledge and a hard plus. I don't. Let's not. Let's continue.
Let's not. Let's just dive straight into it. So, as I said when we were prepping for topics we were going to do, I am once again going back to ancient Rome. Now, I'm aware this
and we all panicked.
Panic. There was a mild panic in the chat. Oh god, Matt's going to do another Napoleon episode.
You make it sound like the time machine is smoking behind you. And I was like, no.
Christina, fetch me the microwave. This isn't working.
He knew it.
It will not be Napoleon length. Fear not. Though it will be the
Napoleon
greatest
height.
hits. No, so
It won't be Napoleon long.
Any other Napoleon puns? I just
that was
John
it.
can't see that I'm looking at him.
You haven't had a camera for any of these.
Well, I can still look.
Also, visual comedy is lost on the viewers at home.
Yes, the viewers of the podcast.
Like, I don't know the accurate term. Like, is listeners the best thing to call them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Considering most of these go out on YouTube first.
I mean, they're still listening.
You're still listening.
You could stare at a screen for 2 hours.
I mean, I imagine most people just have it going and then they'll tune in at a bad point when, I don't know, John's talking about that guy's turquoise face.
That was
Complete
a whole.
lack of
That was
context.
almost an episode, Matt. You could be more specific.
We're getting off topic. It doesn't matter. So, the topic I'm touching on today is I'm going to touch on another famous Roman history, but it's going to be a greatest hits. Specifically,
Oh,
I'm
a
going to
Roman
be talking.
singer.
Nope, not quite. I'm going to be talking about Caesar and his big dick energy. Now,
So glad you said
I
energy.
was so waiting for the mic to cut out there.
Waiting for the lag to screw you over. Caesar and his big dick.
All you would have heard is big dick and it's like that.
and
Mic check. I'll stop.
now, just for a quick definition for anyone listening who doesn't know what big dick energy means, it basically means doing something because you know you can do it. So if you're spending 10k on something because you know you've got 10k in the bank, kind of thing.
Look at most wealthy YouTubers.
Just basketballs in general. It's what Honey Badger's
Badass.
Honey Badger's 24/7. Big dick energy.
Because initially I was just going to be, maybe I'll do some fun facts about Caesar, but the more I was researching, the more I was like, the balls on this man.
He did not actually invent
These
a
aren't fun
salad.
facts. These are big dick facts.
Yeah, Matt, how did you find big dick?
Although there is a crossover in that Venn diagram.
Did you know Caesar's mausoleum had to be extended to accommodate his girth?
Which okay, I don't know which dimension you mean. Yeah.
You think, John?
Just a little bit.
It's made even
Sort of a
weirder when you
dome.
consider that Caesar was cremated.
I think girth is defined on the z-axis, so
Yeah. Kind of worried now because it's like that means. It's like a couple of inches long, but about 12 inches thick. They call them the hubcap on the streets.
Well, let's get going before I get blamed for doing a super long episode. So, straight out the gates, just some initial Caesar facts to put some context on him. So, Caesar was part of the big senatorial, what the fuck's the word? Senatorial class, who were stereotypically very rich, very wealthy oligarchs that ran Rome. Caesar, in comparison,
Was that the one above
actually
the
very,
cottages?
very poor when he was born. He lived in a place called the Suburra, which was essentially
the
downtown
suburbs.
Detroit.
It's Roman for suburbs.
Pretty sure Anakin raced that
He's
guy
from
in
the
Phantom
hood.
Menace.
You remember when Anakin raced Suburra? So
The
he
whole
didn't grow up
nation.
very wealthy, and he only got set up for life because his mum insisted on educating him as best as she possibly could, because Rome was the patriarchy.
I legit thought you were going to say he got set up for life because his mum died.
No, I mean his dad died and left him in charge at 10. This is all kind of context for why I think Caesar had such big dick energy. It's essentially he got incredibly lucky in his youth, which basically I feel like made it so that he just felt like he could get away with doing anything. Speaking of getting away with doing anything, around the time Caesar was growing up, Rome had just gone through its first civil war between Marius and Sulla. Marius, famous for being the guy who reorganized the Roman army, and Sulla was he was doing things.
He was
in the Middle
there.
East. He was there.
He was about.
They didn't like each other.
Some dude.
Sulla didn't like Marius because Marius snubbed him for not giving him enough credit for a thing he did. That's a real broad strokes.
I wonder that would be so hilarious if he actually did steal credit for what he did, and that's why he can't remember what the hell he did.
Oh no, there's a lot of stuff Sulla
I know.
did, but it's not relevant for what we're talking about. Speaking of stealing credit, though, there is a section later on where I didn't know that Caesar just stole credit for some guy, and it's why that guy hates him. But we'll get to that.
Caesar stole his big dick.
It wasn't Caesar's dick; it was someone else's.
A penis for annoying
He's
him.
stolen my Pinnacus Maximus.
He stole biggest dickus.
So, at this point, Marius had just won the third stage of the Civil War, and him and this guy Cinna were in charge of Rome.
Sinner?
Cinna spelled C-I-N-N-A.
Like
Now-
Sienna.
They decided that they wanted to. Marius had to marry one of Caesar's relatives, either his mum or his aunt. I think it was his aunt, which made him by proxy the nephew of Marius. So suddenly related to one of those powerful men in Rome. He then got married to Cinna's daughter, which basically just tied him, very closely to the people in charge. At which point, Sulla came back and beat Marius and Cinna and was like, you're going to divorce your wife to Caesar. Now, in the first example of Caesar being a big dick energy, he said no. And Sulla promptly stuck him on something called a subscription list or a prescription list. Now, a prescription list is not what it sounds like.
Those are
He's
two
gonna
very
get a
different
loot
things,
box every
man.
month.
Subscription, prescription. One of these is doctor approved.
It's a prescription.
Oh, as in a PRO
A
prescription.
PRO, a prescription.
Yeah.
Oh,
makes
okay.
sense. He prescribes something.
That's bad pronunciation on my end. Basically, what this meant is it was a big long list of all the people that Sulla didn't like or were enemies of Sulla initially, and if anyone found that anyone else was an enemy of Sulla because they were a Marian supporter, the name got added to the list. So as you can imagine, a lot of people just abused the system. But it basically meant that if anyone caught Caesar, he was going to be executed. So Caesar spent a couple of years just running around the countryside from house to house. Obviously, not just...
You make him sound like the world's most...
He never stopped.
You make him sound like the world's most aggressive trick-or-treater.
I
realize the phrasing of that makes it sound like he was in one house for one day and then hopped along to the next.
Oh, I wasn't even picturing a day. I was picturing like he ran in the front door, was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Out the back.
He basically...
Also, he's wearing Groucho Marx novelty glasses in my mind.
He basically hid with relatives most of the time, but for the entire time, he basically told Sulla, "No, I'm not going to divorce my wife." If he divorced his wife, all his problems would have been resolved. But whether or not...
What would he have lost
necessity
if he
or
divorced his wife?
Not
It's a
a
big life.
great deal. I think it was a case of genuine love is the main reason, which was frowned upon in Rome.
What an idiot! No, I understand.
Genuinely. So, going slightly off topic very briefly, Julia Caesar later married Pompey, his daughter to Pompey the Great, and Pompey really loved her, but he got mocked in Rome for it. It was like, get a load of Pompey, he loves his wife. Rome was weird. But he wouldn't have lost a whole lot, so I think it was just out of spite because Sulla was, killing friends of his.
Caesar running across the countryside playing Rage Against the Machine.
But that's just a bit of his early life. I realised that laugh sounded so fake because I went straight back into it. So the next example I'm touched on is not nearly as well organised as you can see as before, but the next one, and this is my personal favourite one. I'm assuming you guys have all heard of the time Caesar was captured by pirates.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No,
excellent. Tom hasn't. So, after Sulla died, after he kicked the bucket, very big bucket that obviously fell.
What
on
happened
and
to his
killed.
list?
Oh, it got lost.
It was in the bucket.
Mail. I know it ended. and he
Posted it
died.
to a relative and just never arrived.
Yeah. But Caesar decided he wanted to get started in his public career, and he wanted to be taught in oratory, which is the art of speaking, by the same person who taught Cicero, who was basically the leading orator of their generation. So he popped off to Rhodes, but he didn't make it to Rhodes because about halfway there, a bunch of Sicilian pirates captured him en route. Now, Sicilia is like the bottom of Turkey, that kind of area.
Yeah, Sicily.
And so they caught him and immediately demanded 20 talents, which was an amount of money that I don't know what it's equivalent to. Caesar said that this was too little and demanded they ask for no less than 50.
Yeah.
So he already has a high opinion of himself.
That is big dick energy.
that is exactly. Yeah.
To make it even better, first of all, the pirates humoured him and asked for that, and his Caesar's servant went away and was like, "Cool, I'll go and do that."
You said Sicilian. All I'm thinking now is just like 1950s like American mobsters, like almost like the fucking mob. Like, hey, I'm gonna order this guy. Just like that's what I'm thinking with the.
Oh. It gets even better because Caesar then had to spend 40 days living with the pirates. However, unlike all their other captives, Caesar ate his meals with them, chatted with them, played sports and athletics games with them. Apparently, he even told them to keep it down when they were being too loud when he was trying to sleep. Like, he just got on, dealt with it, and by the sounds of it, had quite a good time.
What games do you play on a ship?
I'm assuming they went back to the base?
Basketball.
No, they definitely went back to the base, because in a minute he kills them. But while he was there, he kept joking that when he was free, he was going to come back and crucify them all. And obviously I've just spoiled it, because when he got free, he came back and crucified them all.
Yeah.
Man of his word.
Raised his own fleet, came back, crucified all the pirates. I can imagine the pirates were shocked that he followed through with it. But at the same time, why would you be shocked?
You know what?
Yeah, they had plenty of warning.
He joked about it enough times.
Probably got to that. It probably got to that point where, like we do, where we joke about something and then we're never sure whether we're serious or not.
I imagine it got to a point where it got a bit awkward, and the pirates were still laughing. It was like, I can't tell if he's actually going to kill us or not.
The nails are going in at that point. Like, is this still a joke?
Oh.
Is he gonna stop and say it's just a prank, bro? Like,
Just
you know what? At this point, I
The
would.
camera's there and
At this
there
point,
and
I'm willing
there.
to admit Caesar would make a great YouTuber.
He probably would. Well, Caesar was a master of propaganda.
Yeah, great YouTuber.
But he really, like, part of the reason he was so successful is a mix of his propaganda skills,
Yeah.
his reputation, and a fuck ton of luck, which is like the best combination you could possibly hope for, I think, as an ancient general.
Yeah.
Speaking of being a general, we're going to hop forward a couple more years. So after he was trained in bloody oratory and stuff, he got a position as I can't remember, was it a military tribune or something? He got some military postings, eventually got made the governor of Spain, or the proconsul of Spain, in charge of a bit of Spain, basically. Because he had a lot of debt, because he'd run through praetorship and aedile, which are basically the first two steps on the political ladder, and as the aedile, you had to run a bunch of public games, which cost money. And Caesar didn't initially have that money, so he borrowed it a lot. And he had Crassus, the richest guy in Rome, basically telling the debtors, don't worry, I'm like his insurance. But it wasn't quite enough. So he was like, I need to pay these guys off quickly. So in Spain, he just picked a fight with the local Spanish tribes, who were a bit of a nuisance, but weren't necessarily out to get Rome, promptly kicked the shit out of them and just stole their silver mines. And, hey presto,
The whole line.
money issue is solved.
Yeah, I mean, fair. I mean, if you want silver more, you should have, like, done about it.
When I was reading it, I was just imagining the Spanish guys were just, the Spanish miners were sat outside their mine, and then Caesar turns up and just turfs them out.
Well, you probably want to keep them in the mine. You just want them to mine
Actually, yeah, you probably made them do the mining. That's true. Given that Rome likes slaves.
Told them to stop. Told them that now is not their time for break and to go back into the mines.
Exactly. He took away all the whistles to let them know it was break time.
They didn't get to have their siestas.
Mines have. He's taking away our whistles. How will we know when to eat bread with fat on?
Flintstones.
We're going wildly off topic. That's not the main point of what Caesar was doing in Spain. Caesar thought he'd done such a good job of this. He wanted to have a triumph. Now, does anyone know what a triumph is?
Massive party.
Pretty much. So essentially, the victorious general would return to Rome with his spoils and his slaves and his captives, and would parade through the streets to rapturous applause, and then there would be lots of games and stuff. Yeah. Crucially, though...
The games that he couldn't pay for.
Well, he wouldn't pay for these. They would be thrown in his honour.
Ah, okay.
But crucial for this is for the triumph to go ahead, the victorious general could not enter Rome. He couldn't go into Rome before the triumph, or it would be negated. Coincidentally, Caesar also wanted to become consul, which is the highest rank in Rome, and basically gave you you would rule Rome in inverted commas for a year with another consul. Now, interestingly enough, in order to run for consul, you have to be in Rome when the election happened. Now, Caesar had already made a lot of enemies in the political elite at this point,
Yeah.
because he'd been backing Pompey on a lot of his stuff in the east, and generally bribing the living shit out of people to get what he needed, which is also part of the reason he had so much debt. He was Pontifex Maximus at this point, which was the big religious chief, but he'd basically bribed so many people to get that role in order to get the money that came with that role. Roman politics is confusing. But basically, it coincided by luck or intention on the Senate's half. It coincided that when Caesar got back for his triumph, it was also going to be consular elections.
That's definitely
About 2 weeks. And so Caesar was like, hey, can I be elected in absentia? And the Senate were like, no. And so, literally, they started filibustering the Triumph's organization so that it couldn't go through. To the point where Caesar's, I won't say arch rival, but one of his, I think Cato would probably class as his arch rival, Cato the Younger, literally filibustered the entire day's proceedings on the final day before the consular elections.
Yeah.
Confident in the knowledge that Caesar wouldn't possibly risk losing a triumph that only ever comes once in a lifetime. So naturally, Caesar just ignored that and decided to run for consul.
Yeah.
So,
and actually filibustering is the art of just basically keep on talking, keep on doing, keep on doing everything you can.
Literally that.
Going along possible and there you go.
So, Caesar just decided, screw it, I'll get a triumph later down the line. Spoiler alert, he has 4. So he played his cards.
He has a lesser version, 2, 1, 3 of them. I can't remember what the hell they were called.
A victory.
Yeah, he'll have had smaller ones as well.
A little wahoo.
And then liberally bribes everyone and wins the consular election. He's now in charge. So, do you remember I mentioned that bloke he stole credit from? So his rival in the consulship was a bloke called Bibulus. And the Senate got him elected as the perfect counter for Caesar because he was very anti-Caesar. So Caesar set about doing land reform, and in another big dick energy move, he told the Senate that he wouldn't use any of their land in the reform to give the land to the veteran soldiers. He would use other land. The Senate then decided that they were going to block the bill despite all its merits. They couldn't bring up a singular constructive criticism, so they decided that they were going to block it anyway. So Caesar went, screw it, I'm just going to go to the popular assemblies and get it voted through that way. And then he decided that he was going to use the Senate's land because fuck the Senate.
That's what you get for cock blocking,
angry.
Bitch.
But it's the kind of thing, it's like, you didn't bring it on yourself. So that got through. So Bibulus, in response to this, decided to make every day a holy day. Now, a holy day in Rome meant that you couldn't work. No work, no governance could be done. So he made the last half of the year holy days so that Caesar couldn't do any more of the stuff that he wanted to do. Caesar just ignored him and went ahead and got all of his reforms passed to the point where Bibulus came down to complain, got mobbed by the crowd, had his fascis broken, which is that bundle of sticks, which signifies the console thing.
Yeah.
He also got shit thrown on his head.
Oh, bad day for Bibulus.
So Bibulus spent the rest of the year in hiding in his house. Holy. Just because, he realized he couldn't do anything, and this basically spent the year grumbling and complaining that Caesar had taken credit for all the stuff he'd done in the aedileship and now had ignored all the stuff he'd done in the consulship. Bibulus keeps cropping up. He's going to crop up again when we get to the Civil War.
Is Bibulus to Caesar what that blue 3-wheeled car is to Mr. Bean?
Yes, only I don't know if the car dies.
Gets run off the road a few times.
During this time as well, Caesar also started banging a woman called Servilia, who happened to be, I think the sister of Cato, so the guy who filibustered all the stuff. I think just out of spite. He just like, screw it, I'm going to start an affair with your sister. Who coincidentally was coincidentally the mother and mother-in-law of Brutus and Cassius, who were Caesar's most famous assassins when he got shanked down the line. And he used to say this really pissed Cato off. And this whole thing of Caesar running the year by himself led to the consulship being called the year of Julius and Caesar, because funny, the Romans named their consulships, the year of each consulship, after the consuls in charge. And because Bibulus didn't get to do anything, they just named it after Julius Caesar. Now, to make sure that nothing got changed when he left after the year, because essentially the next consul could come in and revoke all the stuff Caesar did, that wouldn't have made a difference. So he first of all got a guy in charge who basically was on his side, but he also inserted what's called a curse clause, which literally is what it sounds like. If you revoke my laws, you will be cursed. Which is so good. Would it not be great if it was like, you just, nowadays it's like, oh, you better not disrupt my eco-friendly forest building conservation project, or
the ants will get
river
you.
will flood.
Fair. Also, I found out what was the name of the holiday I was looking for. It's the Supplicatio, that one.
They almost certainly had those at some point.
Oh no, he just had a massive one after the invasion of Britain. There you go.
Yeah, he definitely had one for that. Speaking of Britain, we're getting into the little section that I like to call Caesar's wall obsession. Now, Hadrian is obviously the most famous Roman to do with walls, which I find quite funny, considering that was just kind of an afterthought when he went to Britain. He's like, you know what, we'll just build a wall to keep him out. And he did a bunch of other architectural stuff with temples and things. And I can't help but feel he would be so disappointed that the thing he's remembered for is a wall and the Scottish-English border.
Hadrian's afterthought.
But Caesar too was a big fan of walls. Now, after he'd finished his consulship, because he'd technically done illegal things by ignoring the holy days, he needed to be... He couldn't afford to be a private citizen, because there, if you were a private citizen, you could be basically charged with crime. Charged with crime? Sure. So he got himself made...
Sir, I'm arresting you for crime.
What kind of crime? All crime.
Well, shit, you got me there.
So Caesar got himself made proconsul of Trans and Cisalpine Gaul, which means just Gaul on this side and the far side of the Alps.
Yeah.
No other connotations with those labels.
No, it's like Transnistria and stuff like that, yeah.
Caesar decided he wanted to invade Gaul, as we all know. And wouldn't you know it, there were a couple of Gauls migrating from Germany at that time called the Helvetii. Now, they were fleeing from German people, making their life dangerous. That's really putting it mildly. They'd been turfed out of their homes by the Germanic tribes along the Rhine. And they went ahead and was like, hey, Caesar, do you mind if, we pass through your territory on migration, just, go on a merry way? And Caesar was like, oh, maybe, sure, come back in like a month or something. So the moment they left, Caesar built an enormous wall across the entire length of a valley to stop the Helvetii from moving through. The Helvetii turn up. There's a wall there now. Fight the wall, fight the people on the wall.
Man versus wall.
Is this you having a breakdown, or is this you pretending to be the conversation? Like, it's what...
They don't fight the wall. They run at the wall, get beaten by the wall. I'm blazing through it, John, because I don't want it to be slow, Basically couldn't get through the wall. And Caesar promptly stomped them into the dirt. Coincidentally, by pulling quite a nasty tactical maneuver where he was basically following them along the river while they were trying to go elsewhere in Gaul, waited till only a quarter was left across, and then attacked the last quarter and murdered them. And then the Helvetii were very angry about this, as you would be.
I'd be angry if I was murdered.
It is a cause for concern.
I'd be like, hey, that's no good.
What a wonderful kind of day.
Tom's last words.
Not
As he
right.
stares at the knife in him. This is obviously not the only example of Caesar using walls as a tactic. Diverging very briefly, he had to deal with the said Germans who had, made the Helvetii migrate, and he decided the best way to do this was to build an enormous bridge across the Rhine. So in 10 days, he built a bridge capable of marching over.
Fucking feat of
it is incredible how quickly they did it. Like, the German spies who were watching it went, "Oh, cool, he's just started building a bridge. We'll go and tell our boss, and by the time we get back with the army, we've
got at least a month or two kind of thing."
Comes back 10 days later, and the bridge is done, and Caesar is walking over it.
Is that across the Rhine?
Over the Rhine, yeah.
Yeah. It was,
which is a big fucking river.
It is. It is insanely wide.
Caesar spent the next 3 weeks marching around Germany, didn't meet any resistance, because the Germans were basically like, "Oh, fuck, he can come here." Because initially the Rhine was like, if they can't get across the Rhine, we're fine. Caesar's over the Rhine. Fuck. Now, moving on into the Gallic Wars, we'll diverge very briefly with just mentioning, like, yes, he did invade Britain. Contrary to popular belief, it wasn't really an invasion. He kind of crashed into it.
Well, I've done a lot of.
It's not that he didn't know that it was there.
It's
We'll see.
because
This isn't the North Sea.
there was occasional fucking basically Celtish, British for lack of a better word, mercenaries involved, and they kept on fucking sending them. And then when he beat some of them, some of them fled to. For some of the people he beat, fled to Britain. He's like, okay, this is going too fucking far.
Britain was being a pain in his ass, so he decided to invade. And the first invasion was literally him crashing into the side of the Kentish coast because weather.
To be fair,
it's closer than I imagined.
And the guy went, "You know what? The perfect place to land, Dover. The cliffs." And like that guy got fucking crucified. I can guarantee that.
He did actually take a couple of places on the second invasion, but left very quickly because he didn't have very many men. I think he only had 10,000 men, which just wasn't enough.
He just couldn't
for
wait to get out of
York. Wasn't enough for him.
First, we had like something like 80,000 or something. But yes, no, it was interesting.
Well, he came back with 800 ships, but he didn't have that many men. It was
800 ships and 3 men.
We turned some of these men into ships.
Kind of split them. No, I don't know why.
He had wood, but my gosh.
Well, I'll give one fact at a time. The main exports of Britain at that time were iron, copper, and I believe hunting dogs.
Yeah, really good hunting dogs. One of the main reasons Claudius invaded about 100 years down the line.
Give me your
dogs! Not the dogs, the tin and the iron.
I require your hounds. It's like, why? You can buy them. Okay.
So, throughout the Gallic Wars, which were probably, I think, some of the most famous stuff Caesar did, because he wrote about them, which is why we know about them. There were 2 key battles. There was the Siege of Gregovia, where basically Caesar needed to take a walled settlement and stop supplies getting in, so he built a wall along a little route where the supplies were coming in. It didn't stop the supplies, and then he got beaten and he had to fall back. The more famous example of him using a wall to fight something came at the Siege of Alesia about 6 months later, where Vercingetorix, who was the Gaelic king who had united all the tribes, was held up. And Caesar was like, right, I don't want this hill fort getting supplied. So he built a wall around the entirety of the hill fort. Just a big old circular wall.
On one hand, it works. On the other hand, you've just defended the enemy.
So his plan was to starve them out, and by having the whole wall, it meant that they couldn't get supplies in and out. Now, problem is, 2 weeks later, a reinforcing Gaelic army turned up, and rather than retreat, Caesar built another wall encircling himself a second time. So all of a sudden, he's sieging a hill fort while being sieged.
So he's sort of in a ring between.
I will say they are giving him way too much time.
It was done in record time.
I'm going to say either that or Caesar's become a seasoned wall builder.
Probably, given the fact he uses the wall tactic another 3 times at least.
To be fair, if it ever stopped
magical wall life,
I imagine he would stop using it. but so far it seems to be doing okay.
Why am I trying to imagine Caesar trying to build a wall like you do in Minecraft?
That's what
Just
the Roman
jumping and
legions,
putting the wall underneath him.
that's what the Roman legions do at the end of the day. They just get their blocks out.
How horrifying would it be to be in a siege and just see like a centurion start nerd polling past you? Like, what is that?
Oh.
Oh.
So basically, that went on for a couple of weeks. Sorry, John, you.
I was memeing us to go, oh no, he's got a bucket of water, so the standard's left up there. It's like,
That time
Anyway.
Caesar beat the Gauls with nerd poles and buckets.
I'd watch that.
To be
Anyway,
fair, he just made an infinite water source, and then
Yeah. Just the Gauls get a look over the wall, and he's just got cobblestone generators. Hang on, that man's using mods. He's got tech here.
to get views on this one, do we just call this Caesar in Minecraft gone sexual question mark?
Tom, we need
Anyway.
like at least 2 circles and 2 red arrows on the thumbnail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
The 2 circles will also have Julius Caesar's army in between them to replicate the battle strategy.
It's a circle within a circle.
Anyway,
Oh.
sorry.
So that siege, that two-way siege, went on for a couple of weeks before the Gauls launched. Well, actually, it might have been immediate. No, I think it was immediate. Sorry, because the Gauls were like, well, we've got to break Vercingetorix out before he starves. Caesar won. To make a long story short. Now, Civil War time.
It'd be
So
so
everybody knows
funny-
about Caesar's Civil War.
It'd be so funny if you just got out of the middle of the section. It turns out the Gauls just siege themselves.
Escape in the night.
Yeah. Anyway.
They dig away some of the ground. They find he's dug a tunnel,
Great escape engine place.
and then he sweeps round and.
So we don't know where
attacks
the
them.
Romans went, but we did find a tunnel that's 2 blocks high.
they hear hammering right behind them. Like, ah.
They turn around and Caesar's leading his army decked out in diamond armor.
I was just thinking another wall behind them. Like, oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sorry, continue.
So,
Oh.
in another example of just, well, big dick energy, Caesar started the Civil War by crossing the Rubicon, which is become a very well-used
He
turn
built-
of phrase, which basically means
Fruit drink.
that there's no going back from what you're doing. So
Yeah, that's what happens when you purchase the fruit drink.
Exactly. Everyone
There's
remembers
no
Rubicon fruit
Oh
drink.
god, I've purchased Rubicon. There's no going back.
You were looking between Robinson's fruit juice and Rubicon fruit juice, and you weren't sure which was which.
Yeah.
But the Rubicon itself was a tiny little river that stood at the top of the Italian province, or so you would have. I can't remember which one, but Alpine Gaul and then Italy, and
Just
the
Alpine,
Rubicon
right?
lined that border basically.
Yeah.
Now, important thing to note: you were not allowed to bring an army into the Italian peninsula. That was a big no-no. A general was not allowed to do that. A general was also not allowed to take his army out of his own governing territory.
To be fair,
So
there's
Caesar took his army out of his governing territory into Italy.
To be fair, there's enough like civil wars and shit that happen. I can fully understand these laws being in place.
There's a reason they existed. But Caesar went, fuck it. But Caesar didn't invade with, 80,000 men. Pompey, who was his rival in the Civil War, had something like 30 to 40,000 men, and Caesar had about 80,000 men in Gaul. Caesar invaded with 1 legion, which is 5,000 men. Banked entirely on his reputation to win the initial opening stages of the Civil War, and it worked, because Pompey was like, there's no way Caesar is invading Italy with 5,000 men. He must have brought his whole army with him. Let's run away to Greece.
Everyone, look for walls. There might be a new one somewhere. Quickly.
I see it.
Was that one there
Nerd
before? That one
poles.
by the sheep?
They must be digging the tunnels underneath with their TNT blocks. I don't know what's going on, sir.
I just got an image of the Ottoman sappers, just like in the siege
Yeah.
of Vienna, just
Yeah.
using TNT bombs. Way on top of it. But basically, Caesar's reputation got the better of Pompey, who ran away to Brundisium, which is like at the boot. By which time, when Caesar caught up with him, he had been reinforced. But he managed to take all of Italy without even, attacking anywhere or stabbing anything. On reputation, though, which I just love that he got away with it with one legion. And this is a consistent thing in the Civil War, is that Caesar was outnumbered in, I think, almost every single battle he fought. And he still won, which
because of his big dick energy.
He just whacked it out and he swung it at the enemy army, and they were knocked away by its sizable prowess.
Like a meaty flail.
That's such a good take.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping for that. Anyway.
So, speaking of walls again, Caesar decided that he was going to go back to Spain first. He had to go back to Spain and deal with some things. But when he got back to Rome, it's like, right, we need to deal with Pompey in Greece. He's building up too much of an army. Let's go. But Caesar, it's winter. You don't cross the Adriatic in winter. So Caesar crossed the Adriatic in winter, because fuck it, why not? Which really pissed off his old rival Bibulus, who was running the blockade to stop Caesar landing in Greece. So basically, Bibulus got so annoyed that Caesar managed to land half his army without him realizing in the middle of the winter that he basically worked himself to death trying to stop the other half of Caesar's army coming back. So Caesar killed one of his rivals through stress, which I love.
Yeah.
Bibulus, we hardly knew you.
Really
Bibulus is I would say Bibulus is an interesting figure, but he's probably not.
Half of this story he took off for holidays.
He really did.
The other half he took off for a holiday to Greece and died.
Well, he was running the ships until he wasn't, because of death. But yes, Caesar, thoroughly outnumbered by Pompey, then engaged in the Battle of Dyrrhachium. So, Pompey was by the small port town of Dyrrhachium with his bigger army, and he was easily supplied by sea and had a bunch of food. The only thing that he couldn't get easily was fresh water. So Caesar built a wall to stop him getting fresh water.
I thought you were going to say fresh walls.
Not
These
only
walls
did
are just
Caesar
not
build
fresh
the wall,
enough.
Not
what
only
the kids
did
are
Caesar
saying,
build the
right?
wall- Wait, what?
That's what the kids are saying. This shit's not fresh.
Okay.
Sorry, I've been playing Splatoon recently.
So not only did Caesar build a wall, Pompey built a wall as well. And all of a sudden you have walls being built in parallel.
Nerd pole off.
I feel the only people
war
making
of
money in
walls.
this situation are stonemasons and carpenters.
These were wooden walls. These were wooden palisades. They weren't giant quarried
Carpenter,
stone walls.
yeah.
But basically to the point where it went from almost coast to coast, just two opposing walls. And over the next couple of weeks, there was trench warfare. So literally, parties of sections of units would go off from their trenches and their walls, attack weak points in the enemy walls, be repulsed, and then the same would happen in reverse. So they were having their own mini trench battle of the Somme in 48 BC or something.
Trench warfare, without artillery, is just kind of well, I say awful. It's not as awful as that, but it's just you're going to be there forever.
I imagine there's more dysentery.
There was probably a lot of
Sword just doesn't have enough reach.
That bow.
Weirdly, the Romans didn't use a lot of bows. They did with their auxiliary units, but they were few and far between bow-wise. This lasted for a couple of weeks before Pompey found a weak point in Caesar's wall, attacked, won the battle. Caesar was utterly routed, but Pompey decided that Caesar was leading him into a trap because of Caesar's reputation. So Caesar got away scot-free.
I feel like if you looked at Caesar in a modern perspective, you actually could meet him. He'd seem like the most competent man in the world, but he's secretly pissing himself in fear every time just because I can't believe I got away with this. I shouldn't have got away with this. Oh God, why do people believe in me? Oh, this has gone too long.
It keeps happening. He then kicked Pompey's ass at the Battle of Pharsalus. And then it was on to Egypt, because that's where Pompey ran away to. Now, when he got to Egypt, he found out that Pompey had been murdered, which he was very annoyed about, because one thing Caesar
Because he
loved
wanted to do that.
Well, one thing Caesar loved doing was pardoning his enemies. It annoyed his enemies and his friends that he did it, but he just did it because, why not? I'm so powerful, I'm going to pardon you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Surprise, surprise, they did something about it.
Yeah.
It involved knives.
Yeah, that backfired.
But he got to Alexandria, found out that Pompey was dead, and that Alexandria itself was in the middle of a civil war, and Pompey went, right, well, I don't like you guys that murdered Pompey. I'm going to go inside of Cleopatra over there. So he ended up getting trapped in the royal palace and involved in street warfare, which involved a lot of walls. To the point where he was walling up streets to stop the Alexandrians getting in, and then on the other side of the wall, they literally just created a no man's land of destroyed houses to stop people running across without getting to wild stuff. I mean, while that was happening, he was bagging Cleopatra, but we don't need to talk about that.
I thought you said bagging.
In our universe, same thing.
Oh. Yeah. Taking some tips from Elliot Tavern.
So when he eventually won the Battle of Alexandria, coincidentally causing the rival claimant to drown in the river because of a capsized ship, but we'll brush over that. Everything was kind of going to shit around outside of Egypt because nobody had heard from Caesar for a couple of months. All of the client kings in the territory room didn't quite own, but were allied to, were going, oh, maybe we should rebel against Caesar. Maybe he's dead. The Senate had an army in North Africa that had just kicked the shit out of some of his other stuff, and there was famine and other problems. So, in response to all this, Caesar does what everyone in this situation would do, and he took a month-long cruise down the Nile. Just as you do.
To be fair, I've been on a cruise down the Nile. It's beautiful.
I mean, it is very nice.
When in Egypt.
Yeah, we would hope so.
The phrase "when in Rome" didn't exist at that point. Coincidentally, on this tour, it might be where Caesar first saw a giraffe, and apparently he didn't like the name giraffe, so he called it a camel leopard.
Yeah, what the fucking Christ.
I don't know if that's true.
I know the Romans used to call them camelopards, but I can't know.
Yeah.
Apparently
Caesar was the first to do it.
Good for him.
Which I don't know if that's true. After the cruise, he popped on through Pontus, did some conquering, because he could, and when he got back to Rome, he immediately made all of the enemies who came to greet him pardoned. Just went, yep, no, it's fine. Let's all be bygones, you can't beat me. That's when the knives started getting sharpened. So he then hopped over
Let's all sit down and have a salad.
He then hopped over to Africa and fell off the boat when he landed, which was a big bad omen. To counter this, he hugged the African shoreline and went, I hold you now, Africa. He then won. So, clearly the omens were wrong. After this is when he had his 4 triumphs. Lots of games, the giraffe stuff. And to wrap it up, all the things he did before he got horribly, brutally murdered by his own surrogate son. He enhanced the Senate with 1,000 extra provincial members, which might be one of the main reasons the Senate stabbed him.
Yeah.
It could also be because he installed a golden throne in the Senate House.
Yeah.
It could also be because he started putting his face on silver coins.
I'm not an emperor, but I'm telling you this from this literal golden throne.
Coincidentally, he was the first Roman person to put their face on a coin. Cool little fact there. It could also be because he fucked with the calendar. So, the whole reason our calendar is the way it is nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, technically ours is the Gregorian calendar.
Yeah, we sort of Gregorian.
Because it got fixed by the Pope Gregory to fix subtle equinoctial drift or some crap. I don't know. But basically, he remade the calendar and casually named a month after himself. Obviously, there were talk of monarchy as well. People didn't like that in Rome. The thing that they basically made all this people go, we have to kill him, because if we don't kill him now, he'll be untouchable.
He'll keep adding more months.
Well, Caesar decided he wanted to be better than Alexander the Great, and was about to launch an invasion of Parthia. And after he'd beaten the Parthians, he wasn't just going to go back to Rome. Parthia is like Iran in the Middle East, for people who don't know. He was going to go up through the steppes, like Kazakhstan area, find the end of the Danube River, conquer his way up the Danube River, and then conquer all of Germany. And at that point, everyone was like, we can't possibly let him do this, because he will be the greatest man that ever lived. So they promptly shanked him. And yeah, that's the blunt end where we're going to end. I didn't have a satisfying wrap.
No, Matt, I think you'll find they gave him the sharp end.
They gave him the sharp end, but that is all of Caesar's big dick energy. However, all of that might never have happened because Caesar got, as I said, incredibly lucky. In his very early life, this is something I'd missed on purpose initially. After he got married to his wife, the daughter of that guy Cinna, he got made Flamen Dialis, which is the priest of Jupiter. It's a very important religious position. Interestingly enough, and fortunately for Caesar, it precluded all political appointments, which meant he obviously couldn't have a political career. Interestingly as well, the priest of Jupiter must wear a pointed hat at all times. I guess in bed as well.
I like the idea of some Roman just seeing him just going, no hat! And just getting chased out.
Gets better. They were forbidden from seeing a dead body.
Huh.
Which, they stopped that happening in Rome.
I guess that was like that was them trying to be like, you can't take a military position. But that doesn't work because people die all the time.
Because you weren't allowed to be absent from Rome for a single day. So that rule stops you having a military position. I think you just weren't allowed to see a dead body. You also couldn't ride a horse, and you were not allowed to wear knots on your clothing. Those are just some of the weird things for it.
Buckles only. You need to look like a Final Fantasy character.
Not probably a military thing,
but the real thing, which is so lucky that Caesar got removed from this appointment, or not, he didn't end up making the appointment, is because the appointment was also for life. So if Caesar had actually been made the priest of Jupiter, none of that would have happened.
What if he saw a dead body, though? Is he just off him, or is he just...
no idea.
Or they just go, well, not priest anymore?
John, I didn't look that hard into it.
If he saw a dead horse, he'd be more than screwed.
Well,
No, he couldn't ride the dead horse,
he couldn't
Tom.
ride the dead horse.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a very, very condensed collection of Caesar's biggest big dick energy moments.
You're going to say biggest dickest energy,
biggest dickest moment.
Biggest dickest energy.
Anyway.
So yeah, well,
Corby,
thank you.
do the
Yes.
thing.
Thank you, Matthew, for your briefing into Caesar and his biggest dickest energies.
Biggest dickest.
Now, there was one line that I cottoned on and I'm like, I can use that as a segue. So you said he invented a rule where if someone changed his rules, they'd be cursed.
Yes, he instituted a curse clause.
That was good, because I've brought a curse to y'all today.
Woo! Wait, are you cursing us?
Is it yeah?
Yes, right now. Go fuck yourself.
Alright, let me bend over awkwardly.
I think that's just the dog.
I just punched a fucking desk.
Oh, the curse is already taking effect.
He hasn't even said what it is, and I've already hurt myself.
Don't worry, Matt. It's not going to affect you in like a fucking million years.
Oh,
Tell me,
wait.
gentlemen. How many of you have heard of the Madden curse?
I think I have.
Yeah, I have.
Is this a
I'm
baseball
thinking
curse?
of Richard Madden, who was an actor on Game of Thrones, which
That
probably has
is-
nothing to do with this.
It has nothing to do with him, Tom.
But isn't it the
it's-
thing where if you put a player on the front cover of a Madden game, they're instantly fucked when it comes to performance in actual real life?
Yeah, it's pretty much John summed it up.
Wow.
So there has been a series of several events that. So, bit of background. Madden, obviously, like the American football game, big popular, named after the coach John Madden. The first game was like John Madden's Is it NFL?
That's
Is that the?
before EA made them all terrible.
NFL National Football
Well, I
League.
mean, EA made that one back in the day, but then they started churning
it's
out yearly sequels.
a
As
bit
they
like
do.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Colin McRae's Rally or whatever. Those kinds of games.
I thought we were going to say like Guitar Hero.
No.
One of those every year, and that didn't kill a
no, I was
franchise.
thinking
A bit like Colin
I was thinking
McRae's
the way they were
Guitar Hero.
titling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Madden is one of EA's many fucking annually serialized sports games because let's be honest, it's cheap to make
But
new ones.
it was back when the logo was EA Sports. It's in the game.
No, it's in the DLC.
But
But
they had to remove that line.
It's not in the game yet.
If you looked at the game, John, it was lacking in sport.
anyway, for the first God knows how many years they made Madden games, they all featured John Madden on the box art because obviously the series was named after him. He was a very influential figure in the NFL. It just made sense, and obviously, like people who are into football, they're like, "Oh, that's John Madden on the thing. I'll play this game because I recognize that man's face."
Yeah, there's like
What
a
does
couple
he
of
look
golfing
like?
games like that too.
John Madden, good question. Hold on, you've probably seen him.
Mario Golf.
I really hope he looks like Wario.
Actually, he's probably. I think at a later point he was an old fat white guy. So yeah.
That could be 90% of America.
Exactly. Okay.
Hold on,
Yeah.
hold on. This is a glorious image.
Has he always looked
That
like that?
would almost directly to Matt. That would have been weird. There's John Madden.
That is.
He looks like Discount
Exactly.
Trump.
Why has he got a bust of Stephen Fry?
I think that's him. And then the recording died, and I lost about 5 minutes of audio.
Anyway, enough riffing on John Madden.
You know what? I don't know if anyone saw the message I put in when my internet had a seizure, and it cut back in when Matt says enough
Oh.
riffing on him.
Oh no, Corby
Oh.
may have missed all that gold.
I did.
Wait, where did we cut out?
Because all I heard
I
was
don't think
it
you
looks
saw
like a
my-
bust of Stephen Fry.
Oh, okay, that's okay.
And that's
you
when
got-
it cut out, and I'm like, I think that's meant to be him. It cut out, and then the internet cut back in where it says, "That's enough riffing on John Madden."
Okay, you missed it.
Shit.
God
I mean-
fucking damn it! I'm not even talking about the curse yet, and it's already infected my internet.
Long
This
story
bodes
short-
well.
Long story short, Tom didn't.
Oh yeah, that is the fucking.
I
That's
think
the
that's the
cover
first
for
game.
the first game. Yeah.
Long
John
story
Madden's
short,
football.
Tom did an excellent Southern accent, and
got
then
that,
we
yeah.
discussed. I said he looked like a businessman lost on the way to work.
I'm sorry, but in that
Trump
photo, his arm looks like it's got really white. It looks like he's got a condom on his arm. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it does, yeah. It's a little white
What is
band.
that? What is that?
It's like the lighting, but it's
Yes.
You
happens
know
to.
how we were saying that Tom has to draw a bunch of circles. He has to circle that each like separate like image for each of the topics has to have a circle somewhere on it.
John Madden, but as Julius Caesar.
He's
Oh
got,
my god, yeah, that image with Julius Caesar's head and just walls in his hand.
I feel like, especially in this latest picture you put in, he's got like John Candy vibes. You know, the coach from Cool
He's
Runnings.
John Candy's like evil twin.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a
I can't
John
get
Ca-
over how much like it feels like he has Trump's real hair.
Mm. Well, the problem is, I think Trump's hair is his real hair. That's the
It's gotta be.
I've seen
There
someone
are
pull it.
bushes in Texas.
I've
with
seen
more
someone
convincing hair.
pull it. So if it's to be fair, it might be implanted, but still, it's attached directly to his head by some esoteric means.
He used
Super
Gorilla Glue to keep it in place.
If it works for gorillas, then he'll start sticking to himself. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, on with the Madden curse. So John Madden appeared on the box art for all of the fucking Madden games for up until 1999, if this article I'm reading is to be believed.
What is
Oh.
wrong with his face?
Oh no!
Ah,
This right does not look good.
These are bad.
ready to play football.
You
It
think
looks-
these are bad?
I'm gonna say it does.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, these games were like for the NES and shit. So the first,
Hey, kids,
like the
have
NES
you
and
had
the
enough
the
food
SNES.
today?
You have to remember the first game was in 1988. These were not good-looking games.
He looks like he's going to aggressively serve me tiramisu for pudding.
He looks like he's putting a curse on me in this image.
I don't like how his right eye is closed more than his left. He's got an eye twitch.
Anyway, yeah, so 1999, for some reason, EA decided, you know what? We're not going to put John Madden on for some reason, only on the PAL version of Madden NFL. So in 1999, yeah, I get confused because for some reason, sports games are like, the 1999 one comes out in like 98.
It's because of the way the seasons are structured. The end of the season will be in 99.
Yeah.
But it's released in 98.
What even is that image?
Anyway, so they decided to replace him with a player called Garrison Hurst. Yeah, so in 1999 they replaced the John Madden with Garrison Hurst. Now this was obviously the first time that they put like a player on the thing. They selected Hurst because supposedly 1998 was the peak of his career. Apparently, all it says here is that he rushing for 1,570 yards and scored 7 touchdowns. I don't know if that's good in American football. My only point of reference for American football is Blood Bowl. Take that as you will.
I love it when they take that pigskin and they slam it on the floor. God, just look at the legs run.
You said it was Eddie George, yeah?
All of us.
Anyway,
he was.
You said it was Eddie George, yeah?
What, the player? No, Garrison Hurst. Although Eddie George is one of the ones that was affected by it later.
You say affected by it.
He's the 2001 one. Case. Anyway, yeah, so...
I love that. The case of Eddie Hurst.
So, Garrison Hurst, his team, I think according to this, he played for the 49ers.
Minor 49er had a football team?
The San Francisco 49ers, that's their names. I don't know why they're called the 49ers. I didn't bother to look into any of this. I was just like, this Madden curse thing sounds like it's a fun topic to talk about.
No, it is, yeah.
So yeah, the 49ers played the Green Bay Packers, and during that game, he suffered an ankle injury. And he couldn't play the sport again for another 2 years. At which point, he came back, but it was nowhere near as good because obviously he'd fucked his ankle up something fierce and basically it ruined him.
Right. So how does the cover relate to this?
He was on the box art of Madden. This was a start of something.
Yeah.
Because the next year, they changed the player again. They changed it to, according to this, a Mr. Barry Sanders.
That sounds so fake. It's me, Barry Sanders. The Flash's lesser-known cousin.
Is this... Okay, so that's Garrison Hurst. So for Madden 2000,
I'll put the art in. It's fine. He's in the back of it. Madden's still in the fucking front, but he's in the back of it.
So yeah.
Why is John Madden just going now?
That's just what he does.
No more ankles for you.
He's counting up the number of people who've been cursed already.
Wait, if it's a series of injuries, is it the players taking the injuries so that John Madden doesn't?
He is 84.
So John Madden lives forever.
Anyway.
I don't know. Yes. Disclaimer, I don't know if John Madden's still alive.
No, he is. He's 84.
Oh.
I just looked it up.
Oh, nice.
Because it's like, is he dead yet? Oh, no.
Anyway, so yeah, Barry Sanders, next one on the list. They put him on the cover for NFL 2000. Although apparently a week before training was meant to commence, he just decided, he's like, nope, I'm a retire. And he's like, why? Don't know, just am. Fuck y'all.
I like the idea of like, because the curse. What curse? You'll see. Just like...
You'll see. You'll all see. Meh. Barry,
anyway,
where'd that mustache come from?
Last time I trusted a man called Barry Sanders.
Anyway, Madden 2001, and as John already said, a man by the name of Eddie George of the Tennessee Titans was put on the box art.
Look at that bloody professional.
His hand looks wrong.
Is Madden doing like an evil villain clash hands in that little...
He's steepling his hand.
Good. Oh god, his fingers do look thin actually.
That's right. Get good, then injure yourself so I don't have to.
The ancients used blood sacrifice. I use you. No, that'd be bad.
What you can't see is he's carved Eddie into the palms of his hands, and is about to start the ritual.
God.
Anyway, so yeah, Eddie George, NFL 2001. Apparently, like, he was, like, 2001 was one of his worst seasons, which apparently was due to a fucking nagging toe injury. Yes, niggling injuries from Blood Bowl do apparently exist.
Nagging.
Yeah,
That's what the article says.
I love the idea of just a toe saying, shit, shut up.
Eddie, you need to do your washing. Eddie, if you don't do your washing today, you're going to have to put 2 loads in, and then that's going to be a whole day just gone.
Eddie, you need to get new shoes. These stink, Eddie.
Madden 2000, NFL 2004, and a player called, I hate this first name, Dante?
Dante?
It's like Dante, but it's got a U next to the A.
Dante.
Dante
Welcome
Culpepper.
to Dante's Inferno.
Dante Culpepper from Minnesota Vikings. So, in the previous season, it says, apparently here, after throwing nearly 4,000 yards and 33 touchdowns. So I don't know whether he threw for those touchdowns or he scored them.
What he did do is that he played the game, and we can all agree that happened.
Oh, that was 2002, wasn't it, Corby?
Yeah, that was the previous season, which is probably why they put him on the box art. Anyway, 2003, the next season came along. He only managed to throw 13 interceptions, which is, they're, like, difficult to do, but, like, 13 of his throws were intercepted. And he scored 14 touchdowns. And then he had a back injury, which ruined him for the rest of the season.
2003 looks so serious.
I like how they've still got Madden in his evil corporate pose. I'm willing to bet nothing at all that when they take Madden off the box fully, the curse ends.
Anyway, Madden 2003, Marshall Falk of...
Yeah.
Who did he play for? It doesn't say. Thanks, game. Marshall
says
Falk
he
is chalked up...
played for the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts and St. Louis Rams, apparently.
Yeah, the Rams are what one's listed here, because apparently he helps them reach the Super Bowl, which is the one fucking American football I hear anything about.
It is a good bowl. I'm not going to lie. The porcelain quality.
So many Cheerios in that bowl.
You could do a good fruit salad in it.
What happened to him? Because he looks very serious on the cover. Which I love these are all PlayStation 2 games.
Falk suffered an ankle injury, forcing him to miss 5 of the games for the season, so...
John Madden has terrible ankles.
He says, and after that... Because apparently it was common for him to cover like 1,000 yards while playing in the game, so that's a lot of running, I'm assuming. Anyway, apparently after this injury, he never could reach that milestone again, so the ankle injury caused lasting damage.
Shit.
And you can start seeing a theme where, like, they say, like, lasting damage... Like, an injury that takes you out of the season and causes some form of lasting damage.
Well, the thing is, if you do an ankle wrong, because that's what I did mine, and I it's almost screwed me over. If your cartilage grows back as the wrong type of cartilage, it's just going to be painful for life. Good luck. Because you smooth cartilage and rough cartilage. Yeah, you don't want rough there.
I don't want to fuel the fires of the curse, Corby, but so far the injuries mentioned are all injuries that could also be related to a man getting old.
Have you noticed that? Yeah. Oh, have you noticed that Madden, his portrait is growing slightly smaller each version? That's kind of sinister. I'll be honest.
I mean, that's just showing his like decline in power. I'm assuming
it's making it harder and harder.
And/or decline in relevancy.
Or is it like the Dorian Gray photo? Like, going on?
Oh, what? He's putting all his injuries into other players, and if he ever looks at his painting, he's going to get them all at once.
It's going smaller and weaker as he goes stronger. No, anyway.
John, the painting's screaming again.
Anyway. So he got fired.
So, like, there's a big list online. There's pretty much one every year, according to what I'm looking at. Until... You see, that's the thing, because I think the most recent
It doesn't.
It's still going.
remember. I don't think anything too bad happened to Michael Vick.
Can I just say, I love how sassy that pose is.
Michael Vick, I got in the end.
Mm.
I don't remember. I can't remember anything bad happened to him. I know in 2007 he got arrested for running a dogfighting ring.
Oh, that's
Because he's taking on a new flavour.
wasn't that Brett Favre that was involved in that as well, or?
He might have been involved with that. He definitely ran it. But
Because Brett Favre was on the cover for Madden 2009, and that's like.
Brett was one of the dogs in the dog fighting ring.
Put me in, coach.
Was it him? Was it Brett Favre or was it Vince Young? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Both of them were affected by the curse, by the way. Vince Young being the 2008 case and Brett Favre being the 2009 case.
Tell me it was another old man injury.
Vince Young had a quadriceps strain.
What?
Okay.
What's a quadriceps?
After this caused him to miss out the following year. He lost his starting position. That's He started as a substitute. From then on out, he never got onto.
2008.
Why? I love these fit. Now he's just pouting.
Was
Okay, who's the 2009 guy?
Brett Favre.
He looks scared.
Because he knows about the curse at this point. Let's be real.
What you can't see is John Madden off screen just charging at him.
Oh wait, no, he's gone. His portrait's gone. Oh god, he's loose.
He's been released into the world.
The paintings escaped. Shut.
Fuck. Oh god. Fucking. And then you get 2010 as a portrait, which is just two men getting aggro as fuck. Anyway.
Yeah, what does it say for 2010?
2010 is Troy. I was gonna say Paolumu, and then I realised that's a Monster Hunter name.
That's a Monster Hunter.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just copy paste this.
Sorry.
That is one of the men on the cover.
Troy Polamalu.
And the other one is Larry Fitzgerald.
You couldn't get two more contrasting names.
In the cover, they do appear to be disintegrating, so the curse is taking effect from the moment that photo is taken.
So, interesting fact about Troy and Larry here. So, Troy suffered a sprained MCL apparently, so he couldn't act. So he was out for the season.
Oh, is that
A
your
strange
cruciate
one,
ligament?
sorry, Corby.
It says here he suffered a sprained MCL. I don't know what that means. Hold on, Google, answer my questions.
Is that just a
He's
abbreviation
trained
for
at
muscle?
Music College London?
I think it's a cruciate ligament, which is really bloody bad to do.
MCLs. Well, it says tears, sprains, and other injuries, so that's no.
Yeesh.
Medial cordial ligament.
Oh, media cord. That's different.
Sounds
Aha.
important.
Yeah, that is.
Is that?
It's
Oh,
not...
it's in your knee.
Oh, we are there.
Whoa.
It's according
it's
to
the
this,
balls.
the medium one. It's like
Good old peg leg Troy.
so you know where your knee is. It's like the bottom part of the cartilage for the front of it,
Yeah.
I believe.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
So there's like
that's-
three
Oh.
lots in the front.
Yeah.
Lovely. Anyway.
So yeah, apparently he had that twice in a season.
Oh.
On the opening, it says he suffered a sprained MCL. He was out until he returned to play against the Bengals, at which point he hurt his MCL again and had to miss out for the rest of the season.
Well,
So this
gonna
man
get
played
injured if
2
you're gonna
games
go
in
and
a
fight some
season
tigers.
because of the same injury.
I don't know if you noticed, Corby, but Bengal tigers are very dangerous.
Yeah. Larry Fitzgerald had a good year, according to this. However, it says he had to miss out on the Pro Bowl because he had a rib injury.
Is that he injured
That's a
his
good
rib?
year for him.
Eating ribs.
He got stabbed on a
Well,
rib.
it says he had a good year, gaining 1,092 receiving yards and scoring a career-high 13 touchdowns. So,
Oh, good for Larry.
yeah.
He missed that
So
box,
apparently
didn't
only if there's 2 of them on the box, it only affects 1 of them.
Okay, so
do you
what?
reckon Troy was put on the box
Madden flipped the
first?
coin.
You got to hedge your bets and just get the whole team on the box, and then you might be okay.
But what just ruins the team's
Or
performance?
it goes Final Destination and gets all of you.
That photo was the last photo taken before they all
What
died.
happened in 2011, by the way, Corby? Because I found this picture of this, which is fine.
Oh,
But then
no,
I
look at his eyes. Look at his
no,
eyes.
no, 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 no. It's fine because I'm about to see the thing that gave me a visceral reaction, which is the Wii version.
Oh no!
Where he looks like Stretch Armstrong, but more vicious.
Why is it way strong?
Madden
Yeah, why is
2011
it
is a
He's
man by the name
well-legged.
of Drew Brees.
Drew Brees.
Yeah.
I
Which
imagine-
someone fucking drew him on that Wii cover. They definitely did.
Oh my god.
In a game against the Steelers, Drew Brees injured his knee. During games, he would wear a knee brace, protecting his knee from further damage. He played every snap during this time. Later that year, in a game against the Cowboys, he played without his knee brace. Sean Payton later admitted that Brees had been playing hurt all year. So he had a bad knee, but he continued to play because fuck it.
Okay,
That's not a good idea.
That's cursed, not as cursed.
These injuries are progressing up the leg.
Well, no,
started
we
like
did
toes
have
and
a back
ankles and
injury.
stuff. Now it's up in the knee area.
We did have a back injury, like in the second
Oh, that's
one.
true.
Oh
Carried
god,
his team.
2012 was apparently he had fucking a real bad time.
Yeah.
So
Did he get assaulted by a man with paint cans?
no. Have you found that? Oh, you found 12. Peyton Hillis. In honor, he took a break. It was selected on the Madden cover in 2012. He only played 10 games and started in only 9 of those. He was off with hamstring injuries, strep throat, and a sprained hip at 3 different times.
No, I was yeah. That's also apparently Man 2012 was the last one for the PSP. Good for it.
Well, rip the PSP. I think the DS ones went on to like 2016 or something stupid.
Probably.
So is there one for the most recent Madden? What's the most recent one, I guess?
I can't just show you
this-
13.
Who's next?
Oh my god, that is amazing.
Jazz hands, man.
It's like a mix of A-Train and Frozone.
That, Matthew, is Calvin Johnson.
That's a pretty good name.
He actually had a good year. I think those was
Oh.
Is
both.
it the colour scheme?
Or did the unlucky number counteract the curse? So they sort of
The only
cancelled out.
the only thing weird about it is that apparently he like retired fairly early in the thing.
They probably had a lot of money.
Probably because he read that one thing about, oh yeah, this has got a massive connection to brain damage. Okay, yeah, I'm out. I'm outie.
Are you trying to say he read an article and decided to do what was good for his health?
I don't know. I'm gonna hope. Anyway.
That 2014's not even an injury. That's just a fucking bad time.
There's like multiple covers of 2014. That's the annoying thing.
Adrian Peterson was in. I never know how to say that word. Indicted.
Indicted.
Indicted. He was indicted on child abuse charges.
Oh, good god.
Oh, that'll do it. I'm not gonna.
And was
put that
just
picture.
suspended after one game. So yeah, I'm imagining 2014 was quickly shuffled off the shelves, never to be re-put on. I don't know if they rebranded it. They didn't say. But yeah,
Madden
like
Curse has never successfully shuffled someone off their mortal coil.
oh no, it's
Has
just like see, it's just like if it affects you, it's like career-ruining injuries.
Also, that 2014 one. I mean, after you said that, because it's the PS4 one, he stand up right next to the camera. It's the most like intense and comfortable thing. Once you know that he's also done this.
So yeah, Corby, what's the most recent entry?
Madden 2011 it was someone that was
I hate that.
not 2011, 2021. He wasn't affected. Patrick Mahomes.
Can I just say that man's forehead is far too large? And does he have a monobrow?
Wait,
I can't
this-
tell.
Oh my god! I will
Or
say,
is that just a
Madden 2021 is the most unprofessional cover of a game I've ever seen.
Madden
yeah, no,
25
literally.
isn't even like the newest one. That's just celebrating 25 years of Madden.
Yeah,
John,
no.
They
that's
got
not
the
2014
shit ripped out of them for that because it is essentially somebody got a couple of pictures and just stuck them.
Yeah, that is awful.
It's awful.
Jesus.
It's the worst game cover I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think I've
What's
literally
going on
done
with
this.
this little bit of field down at the bottom. It's just a little
Well,
bit
there's
of
obviously a picture behind them.
that's been covered up.
Yeah,
It's like someone got told to make a collage and it went wrong.
I wonder if they sent pictures of like, okay, which one of these are going to put in the cover, and they just didn't get anything back, so they just hedged the bets and shoved everyone on it.
There appears to be an equation up at the top there.
That's what you got to do to calculate if the pass is successful or not.
Oh,
Tom.
If it just been the central picture.
Does player roll 6? If yes, pass is made.
The picture is actually quite high def. That would have been fine. But yes. Anyway.
But yeah, so like
Graphic
I don't
design
think
is
it's
my
been
passion.
active for a while. There's some people that like point at certain things because I think a big one was 2018 with Tom Brady. He plays for who does he play?
He's a good player.
At that point, he played for the Patriots, who are like one of the fucking biggest teams there is, I think. But I think they lost the Super Bowl because like he fucking fumbled the catch or something.
Yeah.
Some people blame the curse for that because Tom Brady was on Madden 18. Is that cover? But Brady actually like came out as like, I don't believe in that shit. Besides, other than like the fumbles, he had a good time in that season. So, you know, people are just trying to pin the curse at this point. This curse is innocent.
Why is it called the GOAT edition?
Greatest of all time.
Gotcha.
I will say it's quite funny because it says in the Wikipedia. It says a second year straight, a Patriots player has had the distinction following tight end Rob Gronkowski. It's like I know tight end's just a position, but it just made me giggle like a child.
I mean, it's like having
old tight end Gronkowski.
Yeah. Well, I've got you as an American VPN. I keep seeing ads for him shouting about TVs. Like literally just shouting at people like a caveman. I struggle to understand whether he's doing an act or whether there's actual brain damage, and I feel bad. But no, it's fine.
Although 2017, Gronkowski was on the cover, and then he was pulled off due to hamstring injuries. So
the curse strikes again.
I mean, that was
John Madden's hamstring.
Maybe it was the person who designed that cover who got cursed for that one.
I think at this point the curse lies with just how many companies EA kill off each year.
Really
He's about to slam the ball into someone.
But the really weird thing about Man 17's cover, it looks almost like he's got a woman's face until you click on the link and it's very definitely a man. It's like this weird mirage
that
thing.
is weird.
I did think
a sword would not look out of place in that man's hand. It looks like he's going to.
I'm gonna say, put a sword in it. This could be Fire Emblem for all I know. Anyway, Madden Curse. Does it exist? Who fucking knows? We'll have to keep monitoring it to find out because it's an ongoing thing.
Well, he's not dead yet, so I say yes.
What we should do is we should try and see if John Madden has had any injuries in the years where the curse wasn't active.
He wasn't. He wasn't. He was a coach. He wasn't even a player.
He could still
get injured in day-to-day life.
He used to be a coach.
I clicked on fucking Wikipedia and I hate the one image they put of John Madden. He looks actually disgusting.
He looks like someone's inflated, like, he looks like someone's, like, left Trump to soak.
It's Trump if he's been in the pool too long.
God. He was born in 1930.
Oh, God, I hate how it is just something bad about, like... I was going to say something about old white guys. That in itself could be a statement, but old white guys with that colour blonde
That's going to be us in, like, 60 years, Matt. Don't judge.
I won't be dyeing my hair blonde.
I'll look great.
I meant you'll be old.
Unless I get some sort of war injury.
Nah, I'm going to start bathing in blood. Keep my youth preserved.
Oh, you're going the dark elf route.
Tom, as long as you shave your beard, you'll be as young as a spring lamb.
I was going to say as well, I only wanted to look into this because I was sat, like, just on lunch hour and I was watching Scott the Woz videos and I'm like, what the fuck is a Madden curse when it's at home?
I just
Scott the Woz.
Hey, you're doing shit if you put them on the front cover. Didn't know people actually got injured from it, but
well, it's a weird coincidence that for some reason has tracked throughout the years, and it's like, okay, at which point does this stop being a coincidence?
I feel like it's one of those things where it happened as coincidence the first few times, and it happens more because people think it's a real thing.
I think
it's like a psychological thing.
I think, because I think it was like officially like oh, this is like cursed or some shit. And then it was around like 2004 or 5. And then, like, as I say, towards like 2018, they were trying to fucking come up with the curse, where they were trying to just like, oh, Tom Brady dropped that one very important pass. That's the curse in play. And it's like, no, that's not how the curse works.
If the entire Super Bowl comes out one moment and he fumbles it, I would allow that to be counted. The other stuff seems a bit nuts.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Well, it just makes me think of there's a baseball curse, which is like the Billy Goat curse, where there used to be a guy who used to go and see every game for this team, and he had his goat, and then they wouldn't let his goat come in, so he told them they'd never win another game, and they didn't win another game.
Now that's what I call a goat edition.
My goat curses you. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm just reading it here.
Cool. Tom,
That's
Wow.
a potential topic for another special week.
the Billy Goat curse.
I don't quite know how to segue from all of that into my topic.
Just
people-
out a window
I'll
with it,
just
that's fine.
do a hard cut.
Just a hard left turn straight into oncoming traffic.
Just go 3, 2, 1.
Gas,
who
gas,
needs
gas!
the
I'm
green
going to
cross
step on the gas
code?
tonight.
Well, as you know, I have an affinity for dinosaurs. Always been a big fan of them guys. And as we all know,
Yeah,
what was that, Matt?
I don't know.
Okay. You said definitely, and I thought you might have something more to
I
say.
couldn't think of anywhere to go.
He loves a good brontosaurus.
Oh,
He's the kind of guy you can get behind a fagomizer.
and as we all know, back in dinosaur times, the world was one big continent named Pangaea. But Pangaea is not just the name of a continent. Pangaea Software is a game development company founded in 1987
no.
based in Austin, Texas, who exclusively make games for Apple. If the name Pangaea Software sounds familiar, it might be because you've heard of some of their notable titles. These include Nanosaur, Automatic, Power Pete, Chrome Mag Rally, and the game that Pangaea considers to be their most popular, Bugdom. It's Bugdom. My report is on the Bugdom, the game.
I knew it. As soon as he said game software, I was like, wait, but Tom only does the one game.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I've seen this logo somewhere else, and I don't know where or why. I think it looks a lot like any generic video game company logo back in the 90s.
I know we joked about you possibly doing that topic, Tom, at some point in the past, but I never thought you would actually do it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
never thought you'd have the sheer tangerines.
Oh, is that the fire ranking?
I'd
Yes,
hope
that is.
so. Otherwise, that ants have accident.
The amount of times me and Tom we've been out for drinks, and John's either just got his text or he's been somewhere else, and I have been educated on the finer points of Bugdom against my will.
I'm so sinister. John's got a taxi, or he's somewhere else. I'm just like,
Can I just say before we go on, I've gone to Pangaea Software, and like the first game developed is a game called Xenocide, and I don't know how I feel about this.
We'll get those Martians, man.
Oh. Well, that is the cover of Bugdom that John has put in the chat there, and that is the big ant that's on fire is the king of the fire ants, King Thorax, who
Why
is the main
does
villain.
Woodlouse look confused by the fact he has hands?
He does. Bugdom is a platform puzzle game that was released on December 1st, 1999, and was included pre-installed on many Macintosh devices, including the one that I owned growing up, making it the only video game I had access to as a child.
And as we know,
Because-
Tom is a hardcore gamer now because of Bugdom.
Our parents didn't want us to get addicted to video games, so we just had the one, but that just resulted in me getting addicted to video game, singular.
To be fair, Tom, they bought you a Mac, so that was a step in the right direction. Tisk.
The
Just
game...
to reiterate, just to reiterate on my comment on the what Woodlouse looking confused. It now looks more like he's looking at him thinking, "I have killed so many things with these."
You see these hands? They've done things. Evil things.
Why is he wearing Converse?
We'll
You
get
see
to
these
the.
Converse? They've done
Because he's
things.
cool.
No, no, sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
What you didn't see is him strangling one of the ants with the laces.
No, but the ladybird definitely saw that. It looks like it's seen some shit.
That looks like. Oh, okay. Sorry, that's the boing behind it. It looked like a horrible Rudolph nose. I'll be honest. I can't unsee that.
The game received a lot of praise, especially for its soundtrack, which is an absolute jam, I can confirm, but it was criticized mainly for having fairly prevalent glitches in the game, such as, if you like kept walking into a wall, you would go through the edge of the level and out into the infinite void.
Ah, yes.
My
Clipping.
favourite part of video
Glitches
games.
aside, it was generally very well received. In the game, you play as Rolly McFly, who is a blue and green woodlouse with a heart of gold.
Is he? Because he's killed a lot of people.
I was gonna
He's
say.
got a heart of gold.
I was gonna say reviewed well despite the glitches. I'm like, this is just a Bethesda game.
Yeah,
The
he's
difference is
named,
actually-
he's named that because in America, woodlice are called roly-polies. So that's where-
Why?
I don't know. Well, woodlice actually have a lot of different names from different areas, and
Yeah,
that can be a whole other section. That can be a whole other
That
topic in
would
itself.
that
We're
would
not
be
going to
my
do a deep
special
dive into
next week.
woodlice.
Next time.
Why does that fire out of the eyes of Sauron?
Well, pop culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. One year before Fellowship of the Ring was released.
To be fair, the books were out, so
True.
there were probably trailers.
Bugdom heavily influenced by the Lord of the Rings.
Does
Rolly's
this
main
woodlouse have
powers-
to take the ring to fucking Mordor?
I'm pretty sure they go to like a volcano or something, don't they?
We'll get there. Rolly's main powers are kicking and rolling. And also, if you press the kick button whilst rolling, you release a sort of noxious gas, which not only gives you a boost in speed, but also knocks out enemies if they're
He has
nearby.
a lethal fart.
I thought you were going to say his main powers are kicking and screaming.
But I don't want to go on an adventure!
Press spacebar to scream.
I played that game.
There's not
Anyway.
too much in the way
Regrets
of...
buying a mechanical keyboard.
No, I don't. That was good for screaming.
I would have also done it, however, that would have stopped the recording several times, so...
Yes, that's it.
I mean, we could have got a choppy scream from John. Sorry, Tom.
So there's not too much in terms of lore for Bugdom, but here's what little there is. The Bugdom was a peaceful kingdom ruled by woodlice and ladybirds, but King Thorax, the evil leader of a clan of fire ants, overthrew the kingdom. Following the death of Shellian McFly, the Bugdom king and Rolly McFly's father, the ladybirds who once helped rule the land were imprisoned in spiderweb cages. Rolly McFly, heir to the throne, who had been banished to the garden area for a minor crime, it is never explained what that was, returns to the meadow to see his late
Banished to
father.
the garden.
Can insects jaywalk?
I will say, so you're saying everything was fine until the Fire Ant Nation attacked.
Yes, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And one day the Fire Ant Nation attacked.
Oh,
From there, he realizes he must fight Thorax and the fire ants to return the Bugdom to its true splendor.
I can't get
It's
over
not
King
the-
Thorax.
Yeah.
I've been banished to petty theft or something. I don't know.
surely this is just to wipe away his criminal record.
Yeah, this is his community service.
It's got to be started, doesn't it? You have that many hands and not
What
be
minor-
innocent or something.
What minor crime could a
have that many
woodlouse
hands
commit
and not be
other than
guilty.
apparently... I like how we established that this woodlouse has killed many people, and yet we call that a minor crime.
I mean, maybe the ants just...
I like how when you look at the two pictures, they've made his hands massive on the cover. In reality, they're actually normal shaped. It looks
Yeah,
like he's
but
wearing
John,
like,
they're small enough to strangle a man.
I have been stung by 6 bees. Look at my hands.
Oh,
So painful.
we'll get to the bees. Don't you worry.
I did see there was a Bugdom too, so I can't wait for that.
We don't talk about Bugdom too.
I'm gonna put that. What you
Tom
mean?
is a purist.
What, you
and
mean
refuses
that?
to accept-
Oh
that?
God!
No,
God.
get it
You
out.
mean that?
Bad. Just
Why
get it
does he
away.
look like a fucking robot from the film
Is that a cricket
Robots?
or an android?
Yes.
So he looks like he's from the film Robots, or whatever it was
I
called, like
actually
iRobot.
I
it
actually
iRobot?
think that might be one of the worst images you've ever put in this chat.
That's saying something, considering some of the images in this chat.
I hate that more than Backer Shark.
But do you hate it more than the fucking druid one?
I loved the Druid one.
That's a trip.
Oh.
That's a nightmare LSD realm. Anyway, it's fine. Ignore
I
it.
said we don't talk about Bugdom 2, and this is why.
Gnome has got black pits for eyes. Sorry. Sorry, listeners. This is a really bad time. Anyway, let's continue.
So in levels 1 and 2 of Bugdom, the only Bugdom game, both of those levels are set in the lawn area and pretty much serve as a tutorial mode, so you get used to the game. The primary goal of every level is simply to reach the end, a hollowed out log that you walk down to get into the next level. But there are also several imprisoned ladybirds in each level you have to free from their prisons by kicking the webs. You don't have to free them to complete the level, but it lowers your score if you ignore them.
Extending if you save them more.
Say this
If you
came
don't
out.
save them, then you don't get your community service.
You say this came out in 1999.
Yeah.
I just want to search for reference. What else came? Oh, okay, that's a lineup of games that came out. I'll reel these off once you're done with your bit.
So the enemies that you face in these levels are fire ants, boxer flies, and slugs.
I thought
Slugs
you said box
are
of flies
by-
for a minute. A
you
full
said what?
box of flies. I thought you said like a box of flies.
Oh,
Boxer flies.
Where is there actually just flies for boxing gloves?
that is correct.
Just as if that's not impressive. God damn it, Matt.
So
Oh, God.
He's
Uh,
ready.
slugs are by far the simplest, as they travel on a preset path and they do not chase after you. All you got to do is avoid accidentally walking into them. Boxer flies are flies that wear boxing gloves, and if they see you, they will chase after you and punch you, but they can be taken out with one kick. Ants are by far the most prevalent enemy. They walk around in groups of 3, marching, and they carry spears. If they see you, they will throw their spears at you. It takes 3 kicks to defeat them, or alternatively, you can either lead them into or kick them into a deep enough body of water where they will drown.
Got a Sparta kick 'em.
I hate the idea of this basically woodlouse rolling around, just putting the boot into ants, like kicking them on their town.
That's the
Like,
game.
I know.
Sonic in woodlouse form, kicking ants into water, just giving them swirlies and accidentally drowning them.
The ants are programmed to go and fetch their spears, so if you're in the water and get them to throw their spear at you, and then you get out of the way, they have to walk into the water to get their spear, and then they drown in the water.
Screaming, but it can't stop its legs from moving towards
Oh no, the
spear.
death of the ant when it drowns is it gets in the water, sits down, stands up a bit, shakes its head, and then sits down again. That's
oh God, that just
the
sounds like
animation.
depression.
Oh. Level 2 introduces a second type of ant. It looks the same, but instead of marching around with spears, they stay completely still and they throw rocks at you. Rather than going to fetch their rocks, the rocks they throw burst apart and then they generate new ones in their hand.
I thought you were going to say that it burst apart into ants.
No, the rocks burst apart. Scattered across each level map to help you are various nuts, which you kick to open and gain various power-ups. On the outside, all nuts look the same, but they contain many possible things within them.
That's what I tell all the ladies.
Hey.
But wait, Corby,
I
that
was-
implies that you're inviting people to kick your nuts.
That's normally the response I get.
Oh. So I'll blast through all the various types of nuts you can get. A raspberry gives you extra health. A mushroom gives you extra rolling stamina. A green four-leaf clover simply gives you extra points. A colored key lets you open a gate of the corresponding color. A miniature version of you is an extra life. A blue shell gives you a temporary force field that makes you invincible to all enemies. There is one walnut, which is not good. It contains a termite, which chases after you and bites you. That can be taken out in one kick, but if you don't know it's in the nut, it usually does get one bite in there before you can deal with it. There's also a corridor in level 6, which is just full of that type of nut. Just termites all the way down.
It's just termites all the way down, sir.
On the nose. No, it's fine.
There's Buddy Bee, who is a bee companion that follows you around. If you press tab when you have Buddy Bee with you, he fires himself like a missile into the nearest enemy and one-shots them.
Because we know bees are the most aerodynamic attack weapons that exist.
Oh yeah, I mean, quite often sometimes he does go astray if you don't get the angle right. But if you use him, then nuts with him will regenerate elsewhere on the map, further down. So you can use him fairly well, multiple times in a level. And finally, I mentioned there are green clovers that give you extra points, but those are not the only type of clovers available to you. In every level, there are 4 nuts that contain blue 4-leaf clovers. These are hidden in the map, and you get a lot of bonus points if you get all 4 of them. There are also nuts that contain gold 4-leaf clovers. There are only 4 of these across the entire game. They are much more difficult to find, they are very well hidden, but if you get all 4, you get hella bonus points at the end of the game. One other thing that is there to help... Hella bonus points.
Best kind of bonus points.
One other thing that is there to help you on your way is the checkpoint, which is a straw stuck in the ground with a little drop of water hanging down from it. If you jump up and burst the water droplet, then your level progress is saved.
That's good.
That's...
I like that.
Those things are in pretty much every level. Level 3 is the pond level, which introduces pond skippers. They sap your health, and you can't defeat them. There's nothing you can do to... you can't kick them or anything. You just got to avoid them.
Like John IRS.
They put in a Mr. X enemy, like in Resident Evil.
There are also mosquitoes, who are probably my least favorite enemy in the entire game. They slurp out of your head and take your rolling stamina down.
Sorry, they slurp out of your
They
head?
slurp out of your head with the worst sound effect
As in
that
they
you can
stick
imagine.
They stick their thing in your head.
They stick their mosquito thing in your head, and they
Saying they
suck
slurp out
your
of
rolling
head
power
makes it sound
out.
like they come in your head.
The only way you can defeat them is to basically bait yourself and then move out of the way at the last moment, then turn around and kick them before they fly up into the air again. And
They
then,
dress like lawyers.
are they just like, what?
Lawyers.
No, they're dressed like that.
That looks like a flamingo.
What the hell kind of flamingos have you been seeing
No,
at the zoo?
Okay, because it kind of looks like it's in front of you, and it's got one long leg, and then
The long
just...
bit is the nose. Oh. But yeah, if you fail on that maneuver, then you've just got to sit through the slurping sound effect again. They're horrible. Another new element that's introduced in level 3 is the water taxi, who's an ally, and you need to get a coin, and then he'll give you a ride across the more dangerous waters. And the reason you need to do that is because they are piranha infested. So if the deadly piranha come after you, and unlike other enemies, they don't take away your health. They kill you outright, and you have to restart the level or go back to your last save point.
That
I'm gonna
piranha
guess
looks
that.
so
I think
happy.
that would be I think that would be a European perch.
Yeah, that piranha looks real
Yeah.
happy about his existence.
Well, yeah, he's about to have a lovely snack, he thinks.
Also, for a piranha, he doesn't have many teeth.
I said he's probably a perch. You fuck.
Actually, yeah, they're listed actually as killer fish in the Bugdom wiki, but I've always thought of them as piranha. Just in my head, I call them piranha.
Yeah, okay.
He's gonna gum you to death.
But yeah, if you fall in the water at pretty much any point, they will get you. So basically, levels 1 and 2, you can swim, and level 3, you can swim and there's tons of water, but you can't get in it, otherwise you'll die. Levels 4 and 5 take place in an area called the Forest. This level introduces some new enemies: stomping human feet, caterpillars, and tarantulas.
What?
Yep, you heard me. The caterpillars and the human feet, like the slugs, are just on a preset course. All you can do with them is avoid them. Tarantulas are the worst. They hang down from strands of web from a big tree that overhangs a level. And what they do is hard to describe. They shoot webs at you from their mouth, imprisoning you in a ball of web. And then whilst you are imprisoned in said ball of web, they jump up and down on top of you, making them a prime candidate for the root cause of my arachnophobia.
I was about to ask, Tom, is this what you're an arachnophobic?
I'm pretty sure this probably was so traumatic to Tom that I think he wrote to Capcom and they put it into Monster Hunter. Because there's literally a monster that is just a spider that shots web at you.
Shots web.
He shot web,
well.
yeah.
Shots webbed. Level 4 also introduces a new ally for you, Silver the Dragonfly. You can hop on Silver's back and fly around the level, which is helpful, as a lot of the power-ups and ladybirds you have to free are fenced off and can only be accessed by flying.
I was
And-
looking at this screenshot with the dragonfly
you
and
can
thinking,
see-
that's a cracked out dragonfly.
Also, he's not Silver. I know he's called Silver, but he's green.
That's just his
I'm
name.
disappointed.
Which I assume is a reference to Hi-Ho
I hope
Silver.
Silver.
Is it, or his eyes bloodshot, or is it just me imagining that?
That dragonfly has seen some things.
Yeah, you killing all the ants by drowning them.
Another reason having a dragonfly is useful is the end of this level is up a big hill near the top of the fence that surrounds this whole level. And this is where you've got to be extra careful, because if you fly too high in this bit, a bat swoops down and gets you. And like the piranha, this kills you outright and sends you back to either the start of the level or your latest save point.
A shadow roll.
The final stretch of this level is the most stressful thing in the world. It is a long, narrow corridor near the top of the fence, which also introduces drone bees. But unlike Buddy Bee, these bees are your enemies. They fly after you and try to sting you, which does kill them, but does lower your health by quite a bit. So you've got to fly around avoiding these bees and ants and spiders, while making sure you don't go so high that the bat gets you. Over just a real long, thin corridor at
I'm
the
not
top of
gonna
the
lie,
fence.
Tom. I'm not gonna lie. This doesn't sound like it was very well designed.
What were they on when they made this game?
Same thing as this dragonfly, I think.
Another thing about the dragonfly.
See meeting with Steve Jobs, and he's like, "I want a bug game. I want a game about bugs and bats and spiders."
Oh my.
I want to have all my favorite bugs, like bats and fish.
Fire everywhere.
Oh yeah, another thing about the dragonfly is if you press the kick key whilst you're riding Silver, he shoots out fireballs, which you can use to attack your enemies,
Quite literally a dragonfly.
which is pretty useful.
Yeah.
Level 5 is the first boss level of Bugdom. It has all the same enemies as level 4, and the goal is to destroy the beehive in the center of the level, which you do by riding Silver and using that fireball power. The more you attack the beehive, the more bees spring out of it, but all in all, it's a pretty easy boss. If you know what a boss level is, which for quite a long time in my childhood I didn't. And I was just roaming about that level aimlessly. I used to think that you could get on a branch that the beehive is hanging from and there'd be an end-level log there.
Yeah.
It was... But eventually I realized, you just got to destroy the beehive. Levels 6 and 7 take place inside the beehive that you've just destroyed. And they introduce even more types of bee. So...
What the fuck is that? That bee has watched too much JoJo. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is- That bee is jacked.
Yeah.
John, do you reckon
So
this is
there's-
what the fucking bee stand thing was based off of? the one with the many hornets, or whatever they
Harvest.
are.
Yeah.
That's the one. Harvest.
Christ.
So the drone bee is the top image there. Then there's the larvae, which crawl around after you. They're defeated by a single kick. Then there's the worker bees, which, as you pointed out, are very muscular. They are the gym bros of the beehive. Basically, they march along, and if they see you, they turn around and fire their stinger at you like a missile.
Where from? Where from?
Oh, from their butts.
Oh, inappropriate.
I'm going to say, because this bee is definitely facing the player character, when that indicates something I don't want to say.
Yeah, that's why they spin around when they see you.
Sorry. I've gone too far.
And the bee at the bottom there is the queen bee, who is the boss for level 7.
It looks like he's taking a selfie with her.
It does. I could
To be
only
fair,
find one
that is a
image of the
feature that
queen
they
bee.
would later implement into Kingdom Hearts 3.
The fact that Queen Bee has all fours but still technically has hands. Oh, like I don't like that.
They look like
Oh.
they've been attached. They're like prosthetic hands. I'm gonna fucking beat you up, mate.
Inside,
I will.
Is the queen one wearing gloves?
It does look like that.
inside the beehive, as opposed to having colourful keys and gates, this level contains dynamite and detonators that you use to blast through into different rooms.
One thing, why is Rolly doing this bit particularly?
Because it's sending a message, John.
The canon reason is he doesn't know where Thorax's anthill is, and the queen bee is the only one who has the answer.
That's lore!
Okay.
That's fucking
got-
lore!
Okay, thank you. Because otherwise, I thought it's just like I can't find King Thorax. I'm just going to go for a mild bit of terror.
If you don't have the game guide, which I didn't when I was playing this as a kid, you have no idea why any of this is happening. You just kind of go along with it. Another new element in the beehive is a river of honey, which you must avoid falling into at all costs by jumping onto various floating platforms. Some of these platforms move around, so they get you from place to place. Some of them are stationary, and some of them are the ones that begin to sink when you step on them. So you've got to get off those very fast. Luckily, they are color-coded, so you know which one's which. So you don't just hop onto one of the sinking ones and be like, what a lovely stroll I'm having. Wait, oh no, river of honey, I'm dead. Back to the queen bee. As I mentioned, she is the boss for level 7, and this is where your rolling power really comes into play. The way you defeat her is by rolling and using the toxic spray power. While that's happening, constantly new larvae are emerging, and worker bees are patrolling the perimeter of the room that the level takes place in. I would say this is the absolute hardest of the boss fights.
But what about King Thorax?
I'll talk about King Thorax in a bit. Don't you worry, we'll get to King Thorax.
I'm King Thorax and I speak for the trees.
Level 8 takes us back out into the lawn, but this time it is nighttime, and there are some new enemies that you can face. There is a third variant of the fire ants. These ones can fly, and they can actually breathe fire at you. Best just to avoid them. Then there's these guys, the cockroaches.
Oh no.
They
Oh my
wear
God.
gas masks.
I was gonna say they're on fucking acid trip or something.
And they walk around and they release a cloud of toxic gas. They are, from memory, they are also take 3 kicks to down them. But
Thomas,
if you have
sure
Buddy
this
Bee
is a
with
garden, not like a trench he's just walked back out into.
you, garden at night time.
World War One had started in the gun. Looks around for Caesar and Pompey's walls.
But if you have your Buddy Bee with you and you fire him from a distance, you ignite that gas cloud and take out a bunch of them at once. You've got to do that from a distance, otherwise you will also lose health.
Rip in
Why
peace,
is it so
Buddy Bee.
Why is it so close to modern warfare? We can't get close
The
to
gas masks don't help with that, do they?
Yeah, he defeated the Queen Bee by strangling her with his many hands.
Level 8 also contains another of my least favourite enemies, the Fireflies. What they do is basically, at several points in this level, you're required to get to higher ground, but there are Fireflies that hover above you, and if they catch you, they pick you up and carry you back to an earlier point in the map. While they don't actually affect your health, they are damned frustrating, because it means you've got to do all that shit again,
Oh god, it's a
and
stealth
there's nothing
mission.
you can do about it other than just avoid them.
I'm annoyed they don't breathe fire.
Yeah, they already gave that power to the ants.
The dragonflies. Anything with dragonflies. But not you. Never you.
It's a bit like, when you start Pokemon, if you turn up late, you get the shit. So, obviously, the Fireflies were just
It's
like...
funny you should mention Pokemon, Max. That's one of the games that came out in 99. Gold and Silver came out in 99.
Good games.
Technically, this had better graphics.
By levels 9 and 10, you have reached the anthill where King Thorax resides. This level, level 9 that is basically a series of tunnels that you have to navigate, but it also gives you the option to flood certain areas by kicking taps that stick out of the wall.
Hang on a minute.
And we'll come back to why that is useful.
It's advocating you basically drowning the colony.
Well, here's
I've
the
come
thing.
to save my family. Let's drown these fucks.
Come
If
to save my
you-
family by killing all of you.
If you kick an ant to death in level 9, 3 kicks as in previous levels,
Okay.
in this level, it comes back as a ghost, which can harm you, but you cannot harm.
I forgot about this.
This is why the flooding is useful, because if you lead an ant to water or kick it in, it will drown and it will not come back as a ghost.
That
The
sounds
way
like
you
a shit.
started off this paragraph, Tom, where you said if you kick an ant to death level 9, it sounded like some sort of idiom kind of thing, like if you teach a man to fish. I was waiting for the rest of it. I was like, what the fuck is this?
That's exactly what we're speaking when he said, if you flood a tunnel, the ant will die and it cannot come back alive.
Yay.
As well as that water mechanic, this level also introduces lava, which is just in the anthill.
Why the fuck is one of the ant's eyes just superimposed on the left side?
It's just too close to the camera there.
What is that thing extending from his crotch?
Oh, we don't talk about that.
Where are you
That's-
looking? Oh, that's
In the
a spear.
middle of the
He's
bloody-
had a,
That's Caesar's
standing
big
on-
energy, John.
he's standing behind a spear.
Biggest Dickus gets passed down through the ages. It's clearly gone into the hands of the ants. King Thorax has given it to his son.
If you kick an ant into the lava, it will also die and not come back as a ghost.
Will it?
Yeah. So the lava, you've got to navigate that by jumping from a series of swinging vines. Now, with
To Indiana Jones. Tomb Raider.
yeah, it goes full Indiana Jones in this bit. You've got to time it like to the second. Yes, Corby.
So, because this was the 90s, I have to ask, did this game have tank controls?
Explain what tank controls are.
So,
Course of
you know, for example, have you played Spyro the Dragon?
No,
Or like Crash Bandicoot, or like any other 3D platformer, really?
I have only played this.
Oh god, I'm
That is
gonna have
the thing.
Okay,
This,
so-
we got into-
So with
Sorry,
tank
a couple of
controls, you can move backwards and forwards freely, but when you press left or right, you turn to face that way, and then you can press forward to go again. Whereas in other 3D platformers at the time, if you held left or right, you would move left and right, and you could then choose to like change the camera.
No, in this game, the camera pretty much moves with you. You do have you can use less than and more than to change the angle, but generally the camera follows you.
Okay.
So unless you're doing a very sharp turn, you don't need to change the camera angle yourself.
So you could like just veer off to the right, and it would still like follow you, but you would run right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
That is-
Because if tank controls were still a thing by this point, this game already sounds not great.
I definitely played Bugdom. Can't remember if I was sober.
Did it control like any other 3D platformer, or did it control like Silent Hill?
Again, Tom, can't remember because I was so.
I will say
Can't
the
remember if I was
worst,
sober.
the points in which this game controls the worst are when you're either riding the water taxi or the dragonfly. It's also
probably
very
okay.
hard to dismount the dragonfly because you bounce up to get off him and then you just fall back down onto his back and start riding him again. It's probably the least well-designed bit of mechanics in there.
Just gonna.
Okay.
See, what's going to happen is when Tom finally finishes One Small Town, the next thing will be Fact versus Fiction plays Bugdom.
No, it won't.
That's what you think. I'm already installing it off GOG as we speak.
Oh my god.
I'm
Anyway,
not, but
Anyway, so, you're in the hive. Where's King? I'm guessing King Thorax is right in the bleed. Not in the hive. Sorry, in the anthill. Is he? I'm guessing King Thorax is right at the bleed bottom of it. Got a balcony bit. I don't.
Out on the balcony, sipping some wine. He's just in another part of it. He's in another room. There's not really any stairs or different levels of different stories in this level. It's just tunnels.
I just had to giggle because I've gone on to YouTube just to see if I could determine whether it looked like it plays with tank controls or not. And I put in Bugdom, and it says here speedrun of Bugdom, 8 minutes 55 seconds.
Yeah, there are some glitches you can exploit to just jump all the way across a level. If you know how to do it. But yeah, the thing about level 9 that you've got to be careful with is the order in which you complete certain sections. Because if you mess up the order, you run the risk of flooding an important section that you need to retrieve a key or something from. And then you get there and you flooded it earlier, and you can't do the thing you need to do.
I'll do this.
Oh. As for King Thorax himself, when you complete level 9, you just go through the end tunnel there, and you start in the same room as King Thorax. So whether or not he's at the bottom or the top or the balcony is up for your own personal headcanon.
Okay.
He's at the end, and that's what matters.
Yeah. King Thorax is the final boss. When his crown is aflame, you cannot hurt him. But if you lure him to a water pipe that is sticking through the anthill, and then kick said pipe when he is next to it, the water gushes out of a crack and puts out his flames, leaving him vulnerable to attack. And you just gotta kick him until his health goes down, and just rinse, repeat.
Strangle him with your tiny hands.
And that is the final level. Now, if you lose the game completely, if you lose all your lives, the end screen is you imprisoned in Thorax's throne room.
That looks good, cute, though.
A moat of lava surrounding you while the ants watch on.
This looks like the opening to Croc 2.
Dance for me, Woodlouse, dance.
However, if you complete the game and you win, the end screen shows this, which is Rolly McFly restored on the throne of the Bugdom with flowers all around him. King Thorax is imprisoned, and the ladybirds are watching on.
Isn't he a fire ant?
Yeah, but his crown's been put out.
The
end of the game.
He's gonna burn his way through that spider web.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The implication seems to be that the spiders have turned good, or they just maybe reused some of the webs for that cave there.
The spiders are Swiss.
Spiders have no loyalty. So, just a short little fun fact to end this segment. Bugdom was honoured by the Macworld Game Hall of Fame with the award for Best Arcade Game in 1999. Yeah. And all I will say is, Rolly McFly for Smash, make it happen.
No, we're too busy putting anime sword fighters in. Before I let John do his bit, I said I was going to list off some other games that came out in 1999 just to see what it was up against.
One more thing, I do highly recommend looking up the soundtrack on YouTube and just giving it a listen, because it is absolutely phenomenal. When
I put it into YouTube, it was like, do you mean Bugdom soundtrack? And I'm like, no, but I'll slap it on later. Anyway.
Especially level 4.
As I said previously, Pokemon Gold and Silver came out in 1999. Also in 1999, we had Crash Team Racing.
Oh, Crash Team Racing was so
We had DK64, or Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
We had Grand Theft Auto 2. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1.
Oh, yeah.
The original Silent Hill came out that year.
Okay, this is quite a roster.
Shenmue.
Oh, the game nobody asked for a sequel for.
Yeah.
No, but as it paved the way for Yakuza, and for that I love it.
The original Medal of Honor came out in 1999.
If you've ever played that, that is a hellish controlling game.
On the 3D platformer side, we have Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, or Gateway to Glimmer for the Europeans. We also had Ape Escape and Croc 2, two games that slap. Rayman 2, The Great Escape, arguably the best Rayman game there is in existence if you don't count Origins and Legends. And funny that you said Bugdom for Smash. The original Super Smash Bros. Came out in 1999.
Oh,
Smash
right.
64.
yes, it
And
must be.
the highest rated game, according to Metacritic, that came out in 1999, achieving a 98 out of 100. Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fair. Why
But yeah, 1999 apparently was a one hell of a year for games.
I hate
Oh,
it.
Worms Armageddon came out. Hell yeah.
Oh, Worms Armageddon's great.
Oh, I didn't get it. Anyway.
Worms is great in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bugdom 2 is trash because A, the graphics are horrifying, and B, you don't even keep following Rolly McFly. What's the point?
You don't even...
Tom, is that the only reason you hate it?
Because you don't have... I just don't like how like the gave him a shirt and made like giving him the thickest legs in the world. I just don't like that.
Yeah, everything about Bugdom 2 screams bad. Get it away. Look at that gnome.
Hashtag not my Rolly McFly.
Look at that fucking legs. Anyway.
Is it Jim and
Frog in the back. Anyway, yes. Haha, yes. Such a good transition.
I mean,
Anyway.
John, I can't believe you took out all those aggressively malnourished rabbits.
I did? Oh, God. Anyway, no. Once again, we are back to the... I can't remember what I called it last time, so I guess we're going to call it the cryptid closet. Just, they're all in there somewhere.
All right.
These cryptids do be gay.
Yes.
Another
No,
super clean take.
yeah, I was going to say that's good. I think we're going to have to do a new intro every year. No,
3 this episode.
yes.
Corby just needs to make one and it'll be a full house.
Maybe we change it every couple of months. Anyway, right. What I'm going to talk about today is, well, when it comes to cryptid, it's going to be more UFO stuff more than anything,
Yeah.
which is always fun. I'm going to call this the first true alien encounter because I think the Oakley Moore alien is bullshit.
Is this our first one or the world's first one?
No, it'll be the first one on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't think we've done any more. I think
Talking about the Oakley Moore alien was real. Definitely wasn't a child in a suit.
That child in an oversized hoodie was a real alien, goddammit.
it was trapped on a fucking rock. Anyway, it doesn't matter. No. Right, what I'm going to talk... This happened in winter 1967. If you recognise anything, please don't interrupt until I get to the fucking name part.
God, John, my God, why?
But this took place in a village in Missouri called Tuscumbia, which is it's an interesting place. Apparently, I looked up Tuscumbia and it's like, yep, it's named after the one in Arkansas. Great. What does that mean?
What's the one in Arkansas named after? Oh, the one in Missouri.
I think you mean.
No.
I think it's pronounced Missouri, Tom, not misery.
I was going to say, did you just pronounce this?
Yes, the one in Missouri.
The one in Tuscumbia, Missouri. No, anyway. Basically, this happened on the morning of February 14th, 1967, where, and when I say morning, this is like literally the sun is just rising because the witness of this is a farmer. So he got up at the crack of dawn to do his duties, that typical thing.
Classic
And this,
Had to take his tractor out, do some circles in his crop field. Wife comes
Oh,
by.
what circus? Shit! It's me! It was me all along! No. What happened with this is, anyway, he's 64 years old, so he's an old farmer at this point. Because young farmers always know. Anyway, and his name was Claude Edwards. And so, yeah, he woke up and went about his duties on his little farm near Tuscumbia, Missouri. And it was quite a cold morning, obviously, because the sun's just rising. It's February in bloody. And by the way, Tuscumbia is I'll put it. Tuscumbia is literally smack bang in the middle of Missouri. You couldn't get much closer to the middle of it. Anyway, What happened was he got out of his house. He started going down his kind of the rocky kind of slope that took him from his home to his barn, and he looked around and he noticed as he walked to the barn that all his cattle in his eastern field were staring in the same direction. He's like, "Oh, that's disquieting." Yeah, fair enough.
It's unsettling when two cows stare in the same direction. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
no, all the ones that side were staring in the same direction.
Speaking of we all live in an area where you get quite a lot of cows in and around where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I live next to a cow field, yes.
Speak for yourself.
It is just really fucking unnerving when a couple of them stare in one specific direction. Doesn't even have to be at you.
Isn't there like an old wives' tale that like when cows face the same direction, that means it's going to rain or something?
no, it's sitting or standing tends to be, I think, the way I heard it anyway. It might be a different one up here, but that's the
I
Norwich
raise my
one.
cows to tell the weather.
Stand! We must have rain. We must have rain. The drought is
The
coming.
weather forecast.
Anyway,
Cows.
yes, and as he looked across to see what they were looking at, and they could see through a particular grove of trees, slightly maybe about I think probably 100 foot away at this point. He could see like this large greyish green mushroom-like object. Which, when I say a mushroom-like object, is like imagine greyish green like mushroom kind of dome, and then just like a tube.
Yeah.
And
Oh, it's a power up to give him
that
rolling stamina.
and that was in the meadow next to his barn. He didn't quite register all this at the moment because he was still kind of working on it. But so he still went to the barn, put down the feed bucket he had, and latched the barn shut. And then we just went, "What the hell was that?" And so he retraced his steps to see what he'd seen again, and he then can make out these like odd little creatures running around underneath this gigantic mushroom.
Oh, so this was landed. It wasn't floating.
Oh yeah, no, this is landed. This is just in the field. This is just like in the
Why
meadow.
do I feel like XCOM's gonna land?
It's. But no, it's.
What
it's
year was
not
what year was this?
The fact you've responded that way makes me think some.
John, what year was this again?
1967, yes.
Okay, so yeah, okay.
But yeah,
Post
and
Roswell.
yeah, post Roswell. So he estimated at that point he was probably distance from these odd little. Well, basically, what I assume at this point was people just running around by about 70 foot worth of land, two wire fences, and the odd cow. And so he did something like, to be honest, most sighters I don't think they do. He actually just started heading straight for it. Just started walking up. And so he climbed the first gate and started walking directly towards it. As he reached the second gate, basically the second fence towards it, the creatures started running around in a slightly more panicked fashion. So obviously,
He's here, boys.
we're rumbled.
One of them desperately trying to shove a cow into the ship, and the cow just sits on him.
Yeah. And he later described these. You described these creatures later to a particular journalist as being about 3 foot in height, having a similar kind of greyish green complexion like what you call their ship. And he did actually draw them. And I'll put the sketch up.
I really
and
hope they look like the Oakley Moore alien.
It doesn't. I can predict right away, considering what you guys have played lately, what exactly you're going to say the second you see this.
It's a goddamn... What the fuck is that?
John, I'm not gonna lie, I looked at that and thought that's the SCP statue.
I think I'm going to say Among Us, but yes.
That's Roland
Yes.
McFly without his shell.
Yeah, now he basically said that by the looks of them, they didn't really have hands, or their arms were like moving too swiftly for him to just figure out what was on the end of their arms. But they claimed that either they had goggles or large, wide-set black eyes. He couldn't quite tell. And that whole thing on there, he wasn't sure if they had if that was natural on their face or whether they actually had some sort of protective breathing apparatus. It's hard for him to tell. But he just ran around underneath this odd kind of ship, arms swinging frantically, and he later claimed that these weird creatures would look more like anything like little green penguins, because they didn't actually see an invisible neck. Henceforth, this incident is known as the Space Penguins of Tuscumbia, which is
Fantastic name.
Oh,
it is.
love it.
I have to give full credit for the source stuff. I did find on Wikipedia, but there's also this other podcast called Cryptonauts, who've done all this research beforehand. So I've got to give a hand to them because they've got a whole website about us. But no, it's he did say he couldn't quite see how they were moving about because they were in relatively tall grass, so you could see and they were 3 feet tall. So so he wasn't sure if they were like running about on legs or anything. He just couldn't see that.
That's why he's only drawn them from the waist up, I see.
Yeah, yes.
Flippers all the way
I
down.
love the sketch, to be honest, because it does. I was like, yeah, that's a space
It
penguin.
does. Now that you said it, it does look like a Green Among Us character, just with a nose.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, kind
It
of.
does. Yeah, that's what I was expecting someone to say it immediately, but no.
I
anyway.
assumed you were expecting us to say that, which is
I-
why I think
I-
we all said something else.
I, for some reason, thought it was just a green thingy statue from SCP Containment Breach.
That was kind of my first thought as well.
Yeah, it really does look a bit like that. Anyway, as Claude Edwards, the farmer, he, as a hard-bitten kind of Missouri man, he did what he thought was right, and he picked up a couple of rocks and carried on. He thought, well, look at this, they're on my land. He said at the time that his intention was he was going to throw rocks at the device and try and put holes in the side of it so it wouldn't be able to take off. So basically, going to throw shit so it can fly away. Was his game plan, apparently.
That image there is for Tom's reference as to what I thought it looked like.
Yeah. And anyway, he got about within 15 feet of this ship. So that's fairly close for a bloody sighting. And he claimed he was stopped by some sort of almost like a force field thing. He said that he couldn't see or tangibly feel anything, but basically there was a certain pressure where he just couldn't move any further forward.
Was just one of the little Among Us bastards clinging to his legs and stuff.
There's the fly in the grass, like, no.
He couldn't see it because of the long grass.
And his quote was, "I thought I was going up to it. I got up there, and there it was. I just walked up against a wall." He would eventually sketch the craft, although I think it's I can't find the picture of that particular sketch. But as I said, it's basically a mushroom with a cylinder coming out. And he described it as he described it as a metallic kind of vessel, smooth, seamless. He compared it as looking at something that was like almost like shiny silk, which is interesting. He said the top of it, the mushroom part of it, was about 18 foot in diameter and nearly about 8 foot tall at its apex of that bit. So it's quite a small craft, to be honest. But then again, these are small little things buggering around it. And yeah, he said the tube connecting wasn't much taller than them. So it probably was only about total maybe 21, 22 feet tall. So it's not a big craft at all. And he could also see like there was various oval portals about 12 inches long and 12 inches apart. There's around the lower rim of the source around the rim of the mushroomy bit. And he could just see apparently like these they weren't windows, they were just like these weird kind of dazzling, like these bright changing colours from the ovals. And they kind of oscillate as behind them. Yeah, no, it is a space penguin raid, yeah.
But they were dancing with the cows inside.
Ah, this is Club
I
Penguin.
can understand why the cows were looking at this.
Penguins.
I can understand why the cows were looking at this. Another quote from him. The object just looked like a big shell, greyish-green looking outfit, and underneath there were oblong holes where the light was coming out. They were so bright you couldn't see when you got up there, as if a colour wheel was turning inside the thing.
So basically kaleidoscopes.
Yeah. Yeah. And at this point, he what do you do when there's a force field blocking you in? You step 10 foot back, and then you fucking huck a rock at it, don't you? Anyway.
I was waiting for you to say you do the only American thing and you shoot it.
He doesn't have a gun, but that's why he's picked.
But he's got some rocks.
He might have a gun, but he probably didn't bring it with.
No, he didn't wake up and just go, it's time to start in the morning.
Is it
Time to shoot these crops.
Is it only British farmers that have guns?
No, just not.
No, also
every
British
hour
farmers'
of the day.
mums.
Anyway, he threw a rock at it, and at this point, he did actually see it bounce off the thing that had stopped him, this invisible kind of barricade. and it completely soundlessly bounced off and just landed on the ground. And then he thought about it a bit and then chucked his second rock even harder. And apparently that actually seemed to skip over the object, like a stone over water, and land in the field behind the UFO. So this is kind of weird force field thing going on.
What?
He threw the second rock at
So
the
it like
force field, and that kind of
deflected.
skipped over it kind of skipped over the top of it, yeah.
What angle was the fucking?
I don't know. It's an invisible force field. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna say depends how high the fucking force field goes.
That's the thing. The thing's only like I said. The thing's only 20 foot, but I don't.
Oh, I guess if he's throwing it high, yeah.
He's just throwing for a hard,
I was thinking just a straight up chuck, but no.
Anyway, at the second time after he chucked the second stone, the little green creatures they ran around behind it, so they just behind the shaft of the blade craft, and he didn't see him after that. At that point, the UFO kind of partly took off, then tilted once towards him, tilted twice towards him, and on the third lurch, it became actually taken off properly.
Did they just fucking tip their fedora at him and fuck off?
I think it's just like a shit panicky engine thing, but I don't know. Anyway,
You need to rev it, and it's just not getting there.
No. Apparently, this is seemed to be soundless, but it sort of went pretty much straight up at tremendous speed before it leveled off and started heading towards St. Elizabeth, which is northeast of Tuscumbia, and vanished within moments. And that was it. That was left Edwards and a lot of just confused cows behind. And he basically told all this to a UFO investigator called Ted Phillips. This is another quote from it. The whole thing took over 5 minutes, maybe 10. I've never seen anything like it. It looked like shiny silk or something. I couldn't tell. I was going to tell, though, if I could have hit it with that rock. I was going to tell, but I couldn't.
I was hoping to hit one with a rock.
Now, adds a bit more interest to this is the only encounter with the space penguins of Tuscumbia that anyone's ever reported.
I'm so glad you specified space, because I love the idea of you dismissing. This is the only time we've ever seen penguins.
No, I've been so worried this entire time that I was going to say the space penguins of Madagascar. The thing is, he told this to the UFO investigator, but basically said, "Look, I'm not after anything, and I've got a kind of reputation. Just don't tell anyone about this till after I've died. Then you can do whatever you want with it." And Ted Phillips held that to his prominence, and
He killed him and told everyone the story.
I was really wait, February 14th. This happened on Valentine's. Bugger. Anyway, doesn't matter. But he did, and anyway, he did actually say the UFO investigator was actually able to photograph the effects the UFO had in the field. So where the tube had met the soil, and Phillips said, when I arrived at the site, the trace was still quite visible. It was 1 meter in diameter in a slight irregular circle where the shaft had rested. The soil was extremely dehydrated in contrast to the surrounding soil. And that was about it for the space penguins of Tuscumbia. It's the first time they've ever been reported, last time too, all about this farmer. Had nothing to gain from it, didn't know, made sure no one knew about it until after he died, apart from his brother and this investigator. That's about it. But yeah, I just thought it was a stupid kind of funny thing about these.
Do
we have a picture of the mark that was left, or?
I think there's. I want to say it's this because this is a picture of dirt on this wiki.
It's a hole in the ground.
The space penguins were playing golf.
Yeah, but that's about it for the space penguins of Tuscumbia. I just thought it was a very interesting, stupid story. It was like, oh shit, cows are looking something. Oh crap, penguins.
It's space penguins.
But no, it's one of those. But I don't know. I enjoyed it just because it's called the Space Penguins of Tuscumbia.
Yeah.
I can't believe you thought this was
I've not
more
heard of that.
believable than the Ilkley Moor alien. It was just so.
I still believe it's more than the Ilkley Moor alien.
Which could possibly have been a lawyer photographed on a walk.
Whereas this is just a hole in a picture in a concept art for Among Us. I don't know what you're on about.
Yeah, but it's one of those. It's entertaining.
I think the name is great.
Yeah.
It does look like a green penguin wearing sunglasses.
It does look
does.
to be fair, it does look a lot like a penguin. He nailed that name.
Yeah,
I scrolled far far to see
big
Bugdom.
penguin energy.
Oh, what's that name?
I was going to say
maybe.
Big Pingus, and then I realised that no one will get that reference.
Okay.
Well,
Anyway, but that's that. And I was going to do a quick segment. That's my quick segment. Do we want to plug?
We do.
Well, by now, anyone getting to the end of this podcast will know that we have a Twitter page. F versus F official or official F versus F, I forget.
F versus
It's
F
F
official.
versus F official.
Big
Second.
old capital F.
Like the
Kind of
F's in Fire Nation.
The F's in the Fire Nation coming to remove you from power.
Everything was fine until the fire ants attacked.
There's no capital official, is there?
No,
No.
I don't think. We're not
No,
that
no,
official.
F versus F official.
Regardless, we've stolen that handle for anyone else.
I'm just looking. No, it's no capital O. That would be.
I know what it is because I plug in every week. Wow.
I like tired Matt. Go get more. He's fun.
He doesn't talk about Romans as much. I do enjoy it.
Oh, fuck you.
Have a chance to go in an hour. No.
Stick around for the late
There's been
night
no
football
French
hour.
here. That's the second channel where Matt does ASMR French talk.
Look forward
ASMR
to it.
Frenching.
What ASMR French? Just
Be very
Boulangerie.
that's all it is.
careful. Gob.
Anyway, Tom, do you want to plug your stuff first?
Well, I also have a Twitter, which is @randomjot, where you can find me tweeting out some random nonsense every now and then. And I also have a YouTube channel, which is Tom H. Jordan, where I post some random nonsense every now and then.
I can't wait for the Bugdom Let's Play.
Yes, do a Bugdom Let's Play.
If you want advice, hit me up. I can
Don't
help.
tempt me.
Speaking of Let's Plays, I also own a YouTube channel, youtube.com/ I can't remember, if you put Gaius Nix into the search bar, that's GUIAS, you'll find me. I'm also that on Twitter, at Gaius Nix, and on Twitch you can find me at Gaius_Nix, where I actually went back to streaming! I played 3 hours of Steins Gate, my darling's embrace, and died inside when I was raided by other Tom. It's like, you've literally come and raided me the one time I decided to play a dating sim. You've
Hey,
ousted
well,
me
you're
as a
that
weeb,
guy.
thanks.
Tom, everyone knows you're a weeb.
Yeah.
I meant more so to people that don't know me.
I mean, yeah, you're not walking around with those weird shirts, with those... How do I describe it without...
A hey, gal?
being-
I love that. Yeah.
It's alright, Corby, you don't own a body pillow, you're fine.
The fun's out, tongues out posters. Yeah.
Why would you phrase it like that? That's just...
Because I can. Anyway.
It's random.
What would you do if that was its literal Japanese translation?
Consider myself a master of the language. No, anyway. Right. At the end of a special, I tend to do some sort of like weird kind of cryptid lore about that. And so I'm going to talk about the true cryptid, moose.
Yes.
It's gonna be the fucking
Yes,
fact
they are.
where they
That
die.
was like genuine. That was like
No.
genuine
No.
enjoyment from Tom. It was like,
Three-
yes, moose.
Every time I see a picture of a moose, I am flabbergasted when
Would
it's
you?
got a human next to it.
Do you
It's
find
got to be something that's got a human neck.
like when it's got
God,
a size comparison.
I bet you
Yes.
hated Rocky and Bullwinkle then.
Okay, I've got 3 laws as to some things you cannot do to moose in Alaska.
Never feed them
It's
after
fish-
midnight.
Okay, I'm gonna go in ascending order of craziness. It is considered an offence to feed alcoholic beverages to a moose. Fair enough.
Fair.
That would cause a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
Moose may not be viewed from an airplane.
what?
Ah,
Moose may not be viewed from an airplane.
What if you accidentally?
Stop looking!
If you accidentally look out the window?
I
and see
assume that
one?
means like you can't do a a flight specifically to go moose.
Imagine that over the tannoy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now flying over Canada. Please pull all of your window blinds down. Or you will be arrested once you leave the plane.
You will be fined and smacked in the nuts by a moose. No, and the third one, it is considered an offence. No, this one. Yeah, is considered an offence to push a live moose out of a moving airplane.
Why are they?
Why is that a law? Why? Who has
What
done that?
situation required?
Would you then get charged for seeing it go out the airplane?
Yeah, you break 2 laws in one go. Give it a bit of brewski before you push it.
Who was trying to
Break all
film The
three.
Fast and the Furious, but with moose?
I want to keep on saying meese. I don't know why.
To be fair,
I
so
like to
did
say
I.
meese.
That's why it took me a second to get that sentence out. I'm like, it's not meese.
Well, I think all of us can agree that was very amusing, John.
I'm leaving it now. No.
God, I forgot.